Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good job we didn't get. So good job we didn't press the go button again because, as usual.
I think we learned something tonight.
Oh, I've been giving them an education lesson this evening.
Education lesson, as opposed to a non-education lesson.
Yeah, we are all fully educated in a more worldly wisely now.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we all know what to look at in life now. And it came from me, so those words of wisdom will go down in history. And we all know not what to Google.
I think we already knew that one.
So, good evening, everybody, to the IMT.
Hello.
Please never join our pre-stream channel, ever.
Oh, don't. It's scary.
I honestly wish I could have hopped out.
So, welcome along to the channel. We are playing Those Dark Places this evening, which is written by the one and only Jonathan Hicks, who's at work this evening.
He's coming along later.
He is coming along later.
He's along later, apparently.
Yeah,
So-
he gets to see what kind of mess we've created.
Yeah.
Whichever.
It's all right. He's watched me destroy his game a couple of times now, so he seems okay with it.
So he's so he'll be along later. Mark will explain where we are because this is part 2 of a one-shot. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of the calendar. Tomorrow we have 2 games of D&D. One offline, which is in the afternoon. Oh, actually, I might have remember seeing something that might be cancelled, but
It's cancelled, yes.
Yeah. And then tomorrow evenings we've got Croy's game of D&D with ourselves and the Chaos.
It's streamed.
Which is streamed. The weekend after that, we have the double weekend coming up, or 2 Fridays running of Carbon, which was left on quite a cliffhanger last week.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So, which is ran by the wonderful Strain. He does stream, so if you'd like to quickly do a shout out for him, please all go and press that follow button and join his channel. He makes Planet Zoo. Well, it makes it look really like you want to play it, and then if I ever play a game like that, thinking, I'm going to play it like here, in like 10 minutes, I'm like switching off because I couldn't get the paths to match or something. Gets me really mad.
Okay.
It's like, I was thinking, you make it look so easy. It's not one of those, this is how you do it videos. Oh, yeah, I'm going to play it now. It looks so easy.
It never is.
It never is. So as we go into September, we have a couple of things occurring. It is the normal D&D Mutants and Masterminds bi-weekly thing. We have obviously a 2-weekly coming up of Carbon. We have a new game, never seen, never heard of, new to the world on September the 10th. Don't ask me what it's called because I don't know. But all I'm going to say is a little bit of a hint. Jonathan Hicks is running it. So yes, he's using us as a prototype, I think. 17th of September, it is, woo, 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 can we have a drum roll? As you already know, it is our anniversary stream. 1 year. 1 year you've been listening to this.
Wow.
It seems longer.
Feels like longer.
Yeah. So we keep attempting to get the clips together. We're asking people to go to the YouTube. If you're not joined the YouTube, go to the YouTube and give us a thumbs up and go through the videos and find it. Unfortunately, I can't get past 1 clip. And that's as far as I go because I get so hysterical that I just can't stop laughing. And you know what? It's nothing to do with me, is it? Croy. So yeah, I if I was to vote, that would be the favourite clip. So anyway, we'll save that for that week. Anyway, so really, that's how it sort of. That's really where we've got to. Sort of September. The October one is going to be Spooktober. So we're trying to put some spooky ones. Everybody's going to wear fancy dress, and they're going to be dressed up as Halloween the whole time. And I've just let everybody know that now. Nobody knew that before this moment.
What does Halloween look like?
What does Halloween look like? Well, you have to dress up as witches or vampires or mummies or ghosts or...
I'll just do ghosts. Just get the sheets.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's what we're going to do.
Can I put
So,
my
yeah.
wife on camera then?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
is
can
it
you imagine
me?
everyone with the
Yummy.
sheets on their head just being like, it definitely would look like a Triple K rally.
I'm in trouble now.
Or it'd be like,
But
what did
you
you roll?
are.
I have no idea.
No, I just gave you the out there, man. You just say, I meant mummy.
So yeah, so if you go to YouTube, press the subscribe button, and just go through the many videos that are on there, which I think it must be 80 odd now.
Yeah,
And just go round, and there's 2 games you can play: add the thumbs up and spot the pink house coat.
Some of the videos are actually
Yeah.
worth watching.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they're
yeah.
even
Apart
every
from
video is
that-
improved by running
apart
at
from
1.5
that-
times speed.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's hilarious, and they are some really good stories. There is some really good stories. I have to say, we've done some good things. We are good at things and stuff. Oh, don't forget Twitter. We're on Twitter. Not so good and hot on the Twitter thing because it's not on my phone. If it was on my phone, I'd be tweeting it all day, but it's not. It's on a computer, so so it doesn't happen very often.
If only
I'll
we
get
had a
better.
website or an app.
Look, don't start on me tonight. This is my night to be not trolled or abused because Infinate's not here. So my life is easy in a minute.
Nah, it's not.
So anyway, so yeah, there we go. So that's what's coming up. Do the likes on the YouTube, do the Twitter like, follow thing.
You're new to this social media thing, aren't you?
And join the Discord because that's where all the cool kids hang. Is that not a cool thing to say? Okay. So yeah, on that note, we'll now pass you over to the one and only, the wonderful, the most amazing, good-looking, and fantastic. Oh, he's not here.
Yes,
So
I
why everyone just hand you over to Mark?
I think she was talking about Andy.
Do you know what I like most about you, Ange?
We're not starting swearing yet. We've just started. No swearing. On with the show.
It's fuck all, by the way.
He's so I'm so sorry. Please. Oh, by the way, this is an over 18 thing, and please, viewer discretionary is advised. There may be blood, gore, swearing, sexual content, and drugs, rock and roll.
Explicit lyrics.
Can we just take a step back? Just take a step back. Ange, take a step back. Stop talking.
Just giving the warning that we're supposed to give, and we never do. I
That's
do
good.
not fucking swear, Croy. Thank you very much.
There's yeah, we're playing Those Dark Places this evening. This is a game that we started back in, when was it?
2019. No, okay.
It was a while back. It was a while ago. Was it? It may have been June. And yes, we did have Ninu was playing the game with us at that point, but she's had to drop out this evening. She's not been feeling so well, so I hope you're feeling better soon, Ninu. We will miss you. But fortunately for us, our dear friend Strain has stepped in last moment. We've dropped him in. He has no
Coerced.
idea what to
Coerced.
expect.
No.
And
You weren't coerced. I said,
and
"What are you doing
so-
tonight?" And you went, "Nothing. Do you want to play?" Yep.
I thought you wanted to level up your carbon character.
yeah, that's what he thought. And
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
he
you
knew
were
it,
wrong.
Yeah, he was drafted. So in our last session, we found out we were on La Jolla Station. All of our characters here are members of the crew of La Jolla Station, which is owned by a big corporation, big biotech company called Hirota Genetech. And they are conducting research into things that they're calling biochips. They're basically little nanite type things that are injected into a host, and they attach themselves to the host's nervous system, and they kind of act as an interface between like prosthetic limbs and organs and things like that. So it's all kind of weird and freaky stuff. And we started the last session. We found out that one of the researchers, one of the mid-level researchers, this taciturn but brilliant guy called Dr. Louis Barber, and he'd been fired 3 days previously, and nobody really knows why. But he's kind of friendly with Gideon Bahari, who is the security chief on the station, who's being played by Louis. And they had this moment in one of the corridors where it seemed that Dr. Barber wanted to tell Gideon something, but thought better of it in the end and had kind of just left the area. And that was the last that Gideon saw of him until the following morning when he went to check on his friend who wasn't answering the doorbell.
Unexpected character growth.
Yeah, and so when Bahari entered Dr. Barber's stateroom, he found Dr. Barber's body was laying on top of his bunk, but he'd started some kind of odd transformation. His right arm had kind of stretched out above his head, attached itself to the wall. The hand had turned into like into thousands of filaments, like a cobweb that was kind of stuck over the air vent in the room. And the lower half of his body had been kind of stretched out like plasticine into like this long fleshy tube that had reached into the washroom and had attached itself to the water supply there. So Dr. Tally was called, who was played by Ninu, to see what was going on. All of the room was sealed by Engineer Jensen. All of the water supply was turned off or
Eventually.
disconnected from the room, and the air vents were closed. And everything seemed to have been contained. Barber's body was then taken back to the medical center, and there it remains in an isolation tube. Was there anything else? I think that's about where we got to, wasn't it? Dr. Tally seems to have suffered some kind of mental breakdown after kind of examining the remains, and that's all we know so far. Okay, so we're going to kick off. So, Gideon Bahari, Chief of Security, you've returned to the security center, and you've been sitting there, you've been on the monitors and kind of going over the day's events, and you've kind of been, you're aware of somebody has come into the security center and has been talking to one of the officers that's there. And you recognize this guy. You've seen him around the station. His name's Albie Regan. He's like a low-level research assistant. He's quite well liked amongst the crew. And you see him through the door talking to this security guard, who kind of then shrugs, walks over towards the door, and which slides open. And Albie is kind of standing there with him, looking a little bit... and looking a bit sheepish, perhaps.
Yeah.
And so we kind of start here then, and he says,
Can we help you, Mr. Keegan?
"It's Mandy," he says, still looking sheepish. She was acting pretty irritable, so I went out to the bar for a few hours. And when I got back, she just refused to let me into the stateroom. Sounded like she was going crazy, smashing things up in there. I was hoping you might be able to go speak
How long
with her,
ago was this?
try and calm her down. I've just come from there now.
Just
so
come. Okay.
So you know he's this low-level researcher, isn't he? And
Yeah.
But Mandy He met this Mandy on the station about a year ago, and they'd kind of moved into the stateroom together about 6 months later. Hey, you've seen
That's
kind
where
of
we hold all
relationship.
our meetings.
Yes, you know that relationships can struggle under the
Yeah.
conditions of the space stations out in deep space, but they do take their toll in relationships.
Yeah. Well, we'll go have a look. See what we
Okay.
can do. I'll motion for that one of the guys to come with me, just in case, just in case we need to. And she needs restraining or who knows what.
Okay.
With any luck, it's just he's done something to piss her off, and when she's calmed down a bit, it'll be fine.
Sure. So you head down to the habitation area, and he leads you directly to the stateroom. And yeah, the door is locked. You know, her ID chip is saying that she is inside.
Gonna hammer on the door. Mandy, you're in there?
And there's no reply.
Yeah, try it. Override the lock. Is it like a manual lock or like electronic, I guess?
It's going to be like an
I'll try
electronic thing.
Yeah, I'll do a security override.
Yeah, sure. Your ID chip kind of clears you for all of these, every door in the station pretty much. So, yeah, it kind of slides open and it's dark inside. There's none of the lights are on. And as you kind of step in, you can see there's like stuff has been thrown all over the floor. You can see like broken crockery on the floor. It's like the insides of a torn up pillow or cushion, perhaps scattered around, broken photograph frames, things of that nature. Just beyond, you can see in the actual living area, there's like a sofa, and there's a figure kind of sat up there with the knees tucked up under the chin, arms wrapped around it, head down, and you can hear like a faint crying sound.
I'll try to flick the light, see if they're still working. Hopefully it doesn't smash those out.
Oh
no.
Yes. So the lights come on.
I need to stop looking for people. This is just every single, like a 2 for 2.
It is. I didn't think you'd fall for it twice. Anyway.
Mandy, you alright?
She doesn't reply. You can just hear her crying softly. And she's kind of, like I say, she's just kind of curled up in a fetal position on the sofa there. And you can see that there are scratches all up her arms.
Yeah.
She's naked, completely naked. And you can just see that her arms and legs are all scratched. Some of them are still bleeding. And they're kind of perhaps bruises that have kind of formed and things like that. Is Albie with you?
No, I would have taken one of the deputies.
Okay, so the other security guard comes in.
Yeah, so when I see the scratches and stuff, I'll use the communication panel like I did before.
Yeah.
And just be like, Dr. Kimura, we're gonna need your assistance in the stateroom. We've got a woman in distress, signs of self-harm.
Of course, I'll be right there.
Excellent.
See, I did learn from last time. I'm not going in there first.
Yeah, the security officer at the side, he kind of looks at this poor woman as she sat there crying, and he's like, "Did Albie do this?"
Ooh.
I don't know if he'd got it in him. They look like I don't know. I hope not, but once we've got her talking, we can find out that.
And he steps forward.
My guess would be self-harm.
Yeah, he goes straight. This security guard, he walks straight over to her. And he kind of touches her gently on the shoulder, saying, "Mandy, you all right?" And he looks around for a blanket or something that he can cover her up with. He goes into the bedroom. And he comes out moments later, carrying like a sheet that he's dragged off the bed, and he kind of wraps that around her. And you can see kind of blood starts to soak through the white sheet a little bit as she's there. And she's just carrying on crying. She's not doing anything else, just sitting there sobbing. And the security guard looks up and he goes, "I want to kill that little prick."
Well, let's find the facts first. Then you can kill him, if he's guilty. I'll help you escort him to the airlock.
Okay, so a few moments later, Dr. Kimura, you arrive at the Regan's stateroom. And as you kind of enter, you see all this damage to the room, and this woman kind of been wrapped up in this sheet. You can see that there's blood kind of seeped through a little bit. She looks like she's scratched all over. She's got these
Do I
scratches
know
all over.
her by name? Have I seen her
I
before?
think you would probably be aware of most of the people on the station. You'd know whether you were friendly with them. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's entirely up to you.
I'll nod at our security chief
Yeah.
and walk over to Mandy. Mandy, it's Dr. Kimura. Are you okay? Do you mind if I take a look and examine you and see what happened?
She doesn't reply, but she doesn't resist as you kind of start moving her around and stuff.
Are you in any pain? Is anything that you want to tell me, Mandy?
Says, make it stop.
Make what stop? And I'll start doing an examination.
Yeah.
While they're chatting, I was gonna go just do like forensics on the room, just sort of see like if there was any sign of a struggle or anything, or if it just
Sure.
just see what just try and deduce what happened while he's sort of counseling the woman.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'd like is perhaps some kind of medical role here from Dr. Kimura.
Okie dokie.
And what that will mean is I want you to click on your education, and in the bonus there you can have +2 because your primary position is medical officer, so you get a +2 on this. Okay, right. So judging from the way the scratches are, and I noticed there are none kind of right on her back. But they're everywhere else. I mean, she's basically gone.
She
crazy.
clawed herself,
It
didn't
looks
she?
like she has done it herself. Yeah.
Mandy, what are you trying to scratch? What's bothering you?
It was driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. Then she kind of sobbing.
It's okay. What's driving you crazy? What are you feeling? What's inside you?
Itching. It was just itching.
Well, I think we need to treat those wounds, and I think a mild sedative would help you relax just a little bit while we work. Is that okay?
And she doesn't offer any reason. She just kind of feebly nods.
I'll give her a mild sedative.
Yeah.
Some pain relief.
Yeah.
And look to see where my security escort is and if they're still there. I need to get her to the medical bay.
Yeah, the security officer, the other one, looks at you and he kind of says, "So it wasn't Albie?"
No, no. I'll report later once I get her to the medical bay. She needs treatment.
What's Bahari doing at this point?
Do you need a hand getting her there, Doc?
I should be okay. I've given her a mild sedative that should
Alright.
not
Just
knock her
buzz
out.
if you need anything.
Yes, I will do. Thank you. I'll speak to you once I've tended her wounds and give you my thoughts and opinions. But I don't believe anyone else was involved in this.
Great. Right, I'm just going to now cut across to Susan Wilkes, who is like the assistant station executive officer. Susan, you're in McNary's office. He looks up from his computer screen as you enter. Nervously, he kind of stands and he heads to the drinks cabinet. Pours you both scotch. I see you ordered a test of the backup water supply system. Good idea. What about the ventilation system? He takes a long gulp of his scotch.
I believe that Zach locked down that quarter, I think. Am I right? Did you do that?
They did.
Yeah, that it's been securely closed off just for that quarter. It might be an idea to evacuate people at that quarter.
What do we tell them?
There's a contamination in there, and we just need to do a deep clean. And do a deep clean.
a contamination?
I don't need to know. It's the yearly clean. And the rules handbook on page 74, it says that we have to do regular cleaning of the air vents.
I was thinking that maybe we should send somebody down into the central shaft to maybe carry out a manual inspection and sampling.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Bet Zach will be good for that because Zach was there the first time.
No, I think that's a good idea. We don't want to alert anybody else if we don't need.
Yeah, Zach's. He knows. Yeah, I will get that on with that now straight away. So.
Okay. So.
Hey, do we have a call intercom? Can I go?
No, you will do. Yeah. But Jensen, you're currently down on the utilities deck, which is kind of one of the lower decks station. And you are in the water supply area, and the pipes and the tanks kind of creak and groan eerily down, and you're not sure if it's like the subsonics generated by them, or the knowledge of what might be in them. But it's kind of got you on edge a little bit. I mean, the thing that was Louis Barber saw in the statement was so unnatural, you're actually probably beginning to wonder if you'd actually seen it at all. Your colleague.
Strange. Yeah. It's just a weird body. I don't see dead bodies, you know.
These things happen all the time, right, in space? Your colleague, Abdul Adebayo, he's kind of in there with you, and he kind of seems to sense you're unease, and he kind of looks at you and says, you okay, Zach? You look a little pale. And you're not quite sure how he can see. It's the light being so dim down here.
It creeps me out. The noises, just something I can't get used to. You never know if anything's gonna give way. I'm good at what I do, but you never know.
He kind of nods. He seems to appreciate what you're saying. So you finish connecting these heavy hoses to the backup water system, and you kind of check the pressure on the monitor, and everything seems to be operating within tolerance. A few of the folks on Corridor B will probably be complaining about the sudden drop in pressure, but, you know.
Not my problem.
No, it's not your problem. And then your comms unit suddenly bleep.
Hello?
Susan.
Hello.
This is Zach.
Everything okay? Are you finished down there? I have a new job for you.
Well, we've got it all connected up. I don't know if you want anything else from the old supply.
You got some samples?
No, but I can.
Can you get me some samples, and can you just, check obviously that the main water tanks are fine?
I mean, they look fine.
Have you actually opened the hatches and looked in the tops?
No. I mean, I'm going to need to if you want a sample.
Yes, please. Can you do that? And then when you've done that, I need you to go into the air vent thingy.
Why?
Substation.
Clean them out.
It's the central air shaft. It kind of
You need to go into the central air shaft.
Yeah, the length of the station.
And I need you to make sure that everything's clean out of there before we reconnect the air system to that quarter.
No, I'm sure I can just rotate it and get clean and monitor it from my station.
Zach.
Yes.
You need to follow the orders. Report to me when you've done it.
Okay.
Thank
Can
you.
I get a suit? Can I get a new suit? This one's... I don't feel clean in this one.
That's fine. Get yourself a new suit. You have an hour. Report back to me.
An hour?
Zach?
Okay.
To be fair, you could probably do it from your terminal. She wouldn't know the difference.
I don't know if I can be that good at lying.
And where's the fun in that? Back at the in the medical bay, the medical center. This is where the good doctor has taken poor Mandy, and you just take her on into one of the stretcher beds.
Yeah, put a screen around, and
Yeah.
then start tending the wounds,
Okay, then you start patching her up.
and also doing some diagnostics on her with some machinery to see if we can identify anything biological, bacterial, or anything like that that could have infected her and caused the scratching and the itching.
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of sedated. I mean, she's not completely out, right? You only gave her.
Actually, it was enough so we could walk her down to ease the pain and the discomfort more than anything.
Yeah, and she's kind of just babbling and telling you that it was driving her crazy. And
when did it start, Mandy? When did it start?
and she's kind of a little bit dazed and confused, and says it was earlier today. It wasn't too bad at first, and then it was like I had ants crawling all over my skin. It was. Are you muted there, sir?
Oh, sorry. Did you see anything unusual, or feel anything unusual, or touch anything unusual today?
No, but I did notice like red ridges that appeared on my body when they were just driving me crazy. They were.
Well, we'll take a look and we'll see if we can find out what was causing this. I'm sure everything will be perfectly fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. So you hook up the medical scanner and you kind of run her through that. It's like a kind of big MRI machine, like the thing in Alien where you kind of slide them into the drawer and it kind of starts doing these diagnostics. And you start getting some unusual readings from her.
Define unusual.
Some of the samples that you're getting back seem to indicate that she's suffering from some kind of infection. Her temperature is elevated. Her white blood cell count has suddenly shot up. Every indication is that she is kind of suffering from some kind of massive infection.
Is there anything medical we've discovered? Any identifying with the diagnostics?
That's the point. The machine's kind of coming back, saying all these things, but there's nothing. The evidence you're getting seems to be contradictory, because she seems. You think that maybe she was suffering from some kind of extreme allergic reaction, and that would kind of make sense. But according to what's coming up, she's exhibiting all the signs of some kind of massive infection, but you can't see from what. Everything looks normal.
Aliens. Right. Okay.
I'm not saying it's aliens.
Not saying it's aliens. We're not saying
But it's aliens.
It's aliens. Okay. How many people are on this station?
There's about 800 people.
Okay.
Yeah. She's the only one that seems to have exhibited this kind of, well, recent anyway. I mean, you've probably had allergic reactions before, but this seems to be something beyond that.
But there's the medical equipment is not picking up anything that's causing it.
No.
It's picking up the symptoms, but not the cause.
Exactly.
Okay. I shall contact our security chief.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes. I'll move away from her into the private area or something.
Okay, so the call comes through to you, Gideon.
I think.
Hello.
Hello. It's Dr. Kimura.
How's Mandy?
Not good. We could have a problem.
What specifics?
Well, it's something more than an allergic reaction. The medical scans are indicating that she is some sort of infection. We cannot identify the cause of the infection, which would indicate it's something we haven't seen before. Something that may have been picked up from, well, out here. It could be quite dangerous if more people suffer these effects and have scratching, and it could make it could be a lot of trouble.
Oh no, that's not good.
We should lock down the station and make sure no one leaves the station at all. That would be my medical opinion, until we can identify exactly what this is and how many more people are infected. For all we know, you could be infected, and that would not be good.
I'm fine.
Well, we'll have to do some medical tests on that.
Alright, I showered after the last time it happened.
You didn't say that out loud, did you?
Well, does the new doctor have Tally's note from?
No, that's the thing. He's been on the station this whole time. He's not been party of this yet. So you've kind of find yourself in this, I suppose, situation where the doctor that knows about or has not some knowledge of what has happened previously is not available.
Of course, I would like to consult Dr. Tally, but
but you have been told to keep a
I
lid
would
on
actually I would do that thing of like do that like out like just out like unintentionally out loud just to sort of help like fill them in.
What's that? Sorry.
It's a bit about I showered after last time.
Oh right, so he came out with that. So
Just like under his breath, sort of muttering. That just went too loud, that kind of thing, just to loop him in. And I'll fill them in like roughly on like at least one little line just sort of what was happening.
Oh, you're telling it.
That's what happened. Was yesterday or same day?
It was. It was probably earlier, much earlier today. It's been several hours. Yeah, it's been like 12 hours or so, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, I'll fill them in on like what we discovered. Well, actually, no, I need to keep quiet. This is so complicated. Yeah, just figure out I said it.
Is there something wrong? Something you want to tell me?
There's always something wrong at this station.
Well, as I said,
I'll have a word with the higher ups to do your recommendations, and then they can have more words with you if they want more evidence.
They're going to have to lock down. This could be
I'll do my bit.
Quite dangerous. I'll have to go to the higher ups myself if we don't get any lockdown. It's important.
We're still at the stateroom, so I can have a quick look and see if there's any kind of administering agent or how she may have been infected with whatever this is. If that may help your investigation.
Well, anything may help. Just make sure you wear gloves.
Right.
See, this could have been picked up from anywhere. You could have just touched something, and in fact, I could have. Well, I was careful, but yes, this is disturbingly dangerous, though. You must be careful.
Okay. When we end the call, I will just. Oh, who was the guy who was the head of the station?
It was Arthur McNary.
Yeah, so I'll message him again and be like, we've got this woman who's got like some kind of infection of some sort. Like, my suspicion is that it is likely related to what happened earlier today, given the time frame.
The comms goes quiet on the other end.
Yeah, there's this new guy. Like I think we've lost track of Dr. Tally, but this new guy has a body in the sick bay, and he's saying there's some kind of infection. He's recommending we lock down the station until we know more about the specifics, but he doesn't know about this morning.
Damn it. Dr. Barber's body is in med lab, am I right?
I believe so, yes.
tell Dr. Kimura that he should move this new patient there. Tell him what he needs to know. I'll see if I can get a hold of Dr. Telly.
Yeah, I'll have a nose around the apartment to see if there's any, I don't know, signs like around like the air duct or the water supply, anything like just anything like obvious. Like I'm not going to touch anything.
No, there is.
While nosing, yeah, okay, but yeah, then
I'll.
It's just something like I look around while phoning the doctor back.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you're kind of going through all the belongings. You're kind of opening up the drawers.
Yeah, just have a cursory scan to see if there's anything that if it might be like anything like a needle or like a blob of goo or anything that may just be a clue of some sort. Like especially around the air or the water supply, because that's where the other guy was hooked up to.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Barber.
I think
that's
I tell you what. Why don't you make an education roll? I'm going to let you use your security as a bonus for this one because this is your job. See what comes.
Yep.
Right. I mean, you were there when you pulled what was left of Barber's hand away from the air vent. You were there when these kind of little filaments kind of broke off and drifted away. I mean, there were very small fragments. The chances of you finding anything, is probably quite slim.
Yeah.
But you conduct a thorough search. You don't find anything that kind of. There's nothing that's obvious there, but that's in the back of your mind, you're fairly certain that. I mean, your gaze is drawn to the air vent.
Yeah.
And. Yeah.
All right. Seal the room, security lock it, and then so contact the doctor, Kimura.
Yep.
And be like, the recommendation from above is you want to transfer your new patient to the med lab. There's some other stuff you may want to see in there. There was an earlier incident that I've been told to make you aware of, where another resident of the station apparently, I guess, was exposed to some kind of mutagen or something. And I'll fill them in little details of the I said earlier,
So he describes to you how Dr. Louis Barber's body was found earlier by Mr. Bahar himself, and this body was found laying on its bed in his stateroom, but his right arm had kind of elongated and somehow kind of attached itself to the wall of these kind of strange filaments, and the hand had reached right up to the air vent, and almost like an old cobweb. It was kind of this all these kind of strands and filaments that in the vague shape, this caricature of a hand that was kind of stuck to the air vent. And then the lower half of his body had been kind of stretched out and into a long thin tube that had reached all the way into the washroom and had attached itself to the tap and down the plug hole of the sink and down through the toilet bowl.
Wasn't it pulsing as well?
And periodically it had pulsed and down and like a throat swallow almost, going down this long tube down towards into the water supply.
So you found this earlier today, and you've not locked down the station? This could be serious.
It's above my pay grade to lock down the station. I commuted the fact as I'm communicating with you. I don't get to make the shots. My recommendation was so far we've locked down the source, and we've locked down I believe we've locked down the related water and air supply areas,
the backup water supply was switched over. In fact, Kimura, you probably would have heard that they were doing a test of the backup water supply system, and then it was being switched over to that as a test of the system because it hadn't been tested for quite some time.
Yeah.
So you'd heard that, and now you know why that has been done.
I shall
So
take.
we still don't know exactly how it's transmitted, whether it's like airborne or whether it. Well, at least the water supply is secure for the time being.
You must try to get them to stop anyone leaving the station. If this is an infection, we cannot have them leave the station.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is that the station is quite distant. It's 26 light years away from Earth. There is a supply ship that is en route and is only days away. The DSCV Roebuck. But other than that, that's it. So
yeah, so we just need to stop people leaving if they try to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, they're under advisement to lock down the station. So far, as long as people aren't, as no one seems to be aware, no one's trying to leave, and it's several days until the next transport arrives.
Did Dr. Talley examine this individual that you found this morning?
Yes.
I think we folded it up into a body bag somewhere, if I recall.
Yeah, it'll be in the med. It'll be in the med lab where I've told them to. That's why I said you should take the new patient to the med lab because you'll find something else very interesting in there.
We're in the med lab at the moment. That's where I'm calling you from. So
you're in the medical center, which is slightly different. Yeah,
right.
Sorry. Yeah, just to confuse
the laboratory rather than the clinic.
I shall secure Mandy with a nurse and keep her under observation. I shall go and have a look at the other body you found. I do.
Yeah,
need
I'd recommend like an ISO pod or
Harry.
something to just in case it becomes infectious.
Trust me, I will be very, very careful.
So Nurse Munn, he kind of follows your instructions to the letter.
Yes.
Mandy's body is placed in one of these isolation cylinders, and he says that he will monitor.
Yes, sedate her and monitor.
Yeah.
Heavy sedation.
Yeah.
And I shall head to the medical lab and look for this folded up body bag, taking full biological protection.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay. We're going to cut now. To Mr. Jensen, who is currently
having a meltdown.
having a little bit of that. Yeah, you're standing there. You're in your kind of hazmat suit. Now, you know that the central air shaft. It runs the entire kind of length of the station. The spindle bit in the middle of the station. It's about 360 feet in total.
You've only got an hour.
There's like descends past the kind of the lower deck, so you're kind of standing, I guess, at the lowest point that you want. There's this small kind of hatch in front of you, which is probably only a couple of feet wide. This inspection hatch, and beyond that, there's a ladder that will lead through to the air shaft.
Why is he laughing? That's so evil.
It's Tony's face.
I'm just resounding to it now.
Yeah. So I don't know how Zach Jensen is feeling right now, after experiencing what he experienced earlier.
Having a meltdown, just like, why am I going to go look? I can just do it from my desk. I'm safe at my desk. I just, I like it at my desk. Why am I going to go? It's so high. I am not fit for this. Yeah, that's pretty much proper meltdown.
And I think that that's perfectly understandable. So here you are outside the inspection hatch. Did you tell anybody else you were here, or have you just come down here by yourself?
I would have told Abdul.
Oh, you got Abdul. Okay.
Well, the theory is I was going to send him up with the water sample, and
Oh,
to
okay.
the engineering center
Yeah.
to assist in any ways I need to go and turn off any vent fans or whatever.
That is an absolutely brilliant idea. So he kind of is a little bit puzzled, and he's kind of saying to you, "They're sending you in there."
Yes, just I finally got to do what I'm told. Second in command, boss lady. Ugh,
It's a bit irregular. Why would they send you in there? What?
I'm not bored.
Bored.
I mean, they got us swapping over the water.
Yeah, he's kind of looking at the water supply that you've kind of taken, and is something going on, Zach?
I don't know. It's all a bit weird.
Why wouldn't they tell us anything?
Well, why would they need to? We're just the lackeys. We're the people that crawl through stupid small holes. This is apparently what we're here to do. We don't know nothing. Like he's partly
I,
like forgot what he's seen. He's just having this rant about having to climb up this massive air vent.
yeah, okay. So he Abdul kind of steps forward. He kind of presses a few of the buttons on the panel. You hear these magnetic locks kind of open, and the hatch kind of slides away. And you've got that eerie kind of like kind of a breath of wind that kind of comes blowing out of the air vent. It's kind of a bit damp, a bit moist. I'm going to say moist because it's just such a lovely evocative word.
Yes.
Flap, 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 flap.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would have been one of the places where he's actively been avoiding. Like
Yeah.
he'll literally go anywhere else in the ship, but this small shaft.
Yeah, is he claustrophobic? Is he a bit claustrophobic, maybe?
They're not claustrophobic. I think it's just the thought of. Yeah, I think it's just the thought of being stuck. Because like literally, there is only him going to be, even though Abdul's going to be on the comms helping him get through. It's literally like I'm literally going in there on my Todd.
And I think Abdul probably kind of senses your kind of reluctance, and he says, "Do you want me to wait right here while you go in?
I would like you to.
I can take this up later."
Are you going to be able to do the vents from down here if I need them?
He kind of no.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's going to be dark in there, so
Can I get a headlight
you can.
and a torch?
You will have that. You'll have a lantern. You'll have like a shoulder-mounted kind of lantern or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna get all of them.
Yeah.
I'll literally just grab the duct tape and just strap them on me. Glow sticks, anything.
I mean, they're designed to attach these things on, so it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah, and you kind of squeeze yourself into this narrow passageway, and you know that it's a good crawl of maybe 60 feet through this narrow tunnel before you reach this kind of central air shaft. And just because I'm an absolute bastard, I think we should have some kind of agility roll. I think.
Okay.
I mean, oh dear, that's terrible.
Just to see. Before you do that, let me just change the thing. Go. And yet, the suit that you're wearing is making the job obviously tricky.
Yeah. Agility.
Now there's got this crazy dice. Okay, so you squeeze through into the tunnel there, and you kind of the torch kind of illuminates the tunnel ahead of you. But it's that kind of effect where it reaches so far and then it's kind of just darkness beyond that as you slowly kind of inch your way forward along the tunnel. But you make it through. You have not too much difficulty. It's awkward. You're wearing this kind of hazmat suit now, which, you know, Abdul probably thought was a little bit strange and was kind of not sure why you were wearing a hazmat suit. But you've kind of managed to squeeze through, and as you kind of you're kind of your head first, you kind of pop out into this kind of, you're aware more than actually see it, this kind of cavernous kind of chamber that seems to extend way up and way below you. And every kind of movement that you make, it kind of echoes in this thing, and you're aware of the sound of various fans spinning.
Yeah.
And it's probably kind of casting the very small lights that are kind of in here, these inspection lights that are kind of dotted around. You can kind of make out these fan blades that are kind of casting these kind of crazy shadows around the entire chamber as you kind of climb in. And you see this ladder that kind of just stretches up into darkness, down into darkness.
Yeah. I think at this point I'm gonna comms through to Miss Wilkes.
Yep.
Try and get hold of her.
Are you answering? Are you taking calls, Ms. Wilkes?
Yep. Zach, can you give me a report?
Oh no, I've just started. I'm just telling you I'm starting. We're gonna turn some fans off along the way, so I know you're not gonna get sliced in this deep, dark, central room.
Okay. That's fine. Just let me know when you've got in there and let me know what's happening. Keep me informed.
What's we doing in here? Like, what am I doing?
Zach, you saw what we saw in the other room. You're the only person that could do this.
But I don't want to find it.
You just see what you find, report back, and then we can deal with it.
I don't deal with this. I deal with
Zach,
powers.
you're the only one that can do this. Just go and have a look.
Other people are skinny. They can fit.
It's not a case of skinny. It's base security.
Get security then.
Need to know basis. Can you just go and have a look?
Right, I will start. If I fall to my death, it's on you.
Don't fall. Strap yourself in. Use a strap.
That's uncomfortable.
Then fall to your death. Just get it done.
Jesus.
Fine.
Perspective, people.
Zach, be safe and don't fuck about. Now get it done.
Okay.
Isn't it? Right.
Yeah. Note to self: hire someone more grippy.
I'm not. If it was a big droppy thing, at some point that droppy thing had to be made or done, so that it's a bit like, you know, when you do the rock climbing, it's like bit of rope kind of thing. The what?
Hook up.
Yeah. So she'll have a strappy thing to strap on.
There'll be...
Yeah.
Your reason.
Of course it is.
You're muted.
Haha.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. Are you heading up or down?
Like how much lower? How many floors are lower than me?
You are probably closer to the lower part than the upper part. The upper part is like 300 feet above you.
Oh, so you're not going to fall to your death at all.
Yeah, you only fall 60 feet. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's survivable, but
To be honest, I think we'll go up because that's where, you know, that's where the vents are turned off are.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to start going up.
Okay, and you're going to start the long and arduous climb up this central shaft. Cool. Right. And while you're doing that, we're going to switch back to let's switch back to Dr. Kimura. So you arrive in MedLab.
Yes, I'm going to take full biological protection.
Yeah,
and works.
I mean, this area is designed to kind of be sealed off from any kind of contagion and stuff like that, which is kind of handy. And you kind of enter into the med lab. The lighting is very muted in there as well, kind of a little bit dark. It's dark everywhere on the station. There's something about this station which means that there's never really quite enough light.
No, never enough light, never.
I'm gonna make my way over to med lab as well.
Yeah.
Lacking something direct to do, and also I don't trust the new guy not to wake up Barber.
Oh, okay, right. And so as you enter, you are kind of aware that there's like an area that's kind of been partitioned off with kind of like these. I guess they are kind of partitioned curtain things that kind of have been moved into place. You know, at the far end, there's like an isolation cylinder that's kind of set up. You know that's where the experiments on Corporal Pope would have been carried out in this room earlier on today, and you'd heard that things hadn't probably gone quite so well with that. But it's being used for something else right now. And as you kind of approach, you kind of see through this plexiglass on this isolation tube. There appears to be some kind of fleshy mass within there. It's kind of like this brownish, pinkish grey, kind of veined, mottled purple in places. It's pretty gross. And it doesn't quite, I mean, you're not quite sure what it is you're looking at until you suddenly realize that somebody mentioned that something had happened to Dr. Louis Barber earlier, or last night.
Well, Dr. Barber, what have you done?
Yes. And this thing it's no longer recognizably human. There is no part of it that looks like a person anymore. And I think at that point is when you're going to make your first pressure roll.
So that's the pressure bonus button I'm pushing, isn't it?
Yeah, if you click pressure bonus, see what happens.
Do I get a bonus because it's a medical thing? And you know,
Not on this. On pressure, not on that pressure.
Damn, I had to try.
You did. Fair enough.
10.
Yeah, but you're being quite objective about this. You know, maybe it was a human once. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The computer system is kind of here. It's been obviously accessed recently. And a quick glance at it tells you that Dr. Talley had been using it and had been writing down some of her observations.
Okay, I'm gonna. You've cut out. I missed that last bit.
Oh, you can see that she's been writing down some of her observations
Cool.
on the computer.
Right,
So
I'm gonna take a look.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this little handout. I don't know if you can see if that appears for you on the screen.
Not for me.
Hmm.
No handouts.
Okay. Let me share. So, in the journal tab, which is the one that looks like a book on the top right corner,
Yep.
see a folder there, it's handouts, and inside that there should be something.
I see. Yes.
Yeah. There are some other notes. This is basically kind of some kind of thing she's kind of scribbled down on a data pad somewhere. See if that makes any sense to you at all.
Oh yes. Yes. Sorry, what was the doctor's name again? Not Talley.
Dr. Barber.
Barber.
Yeah, Louis Barber.
Well, Dr. Barber, what have you become?
And at that point, that's when Gideon, you probably arrive at MedLab, and you see Dr. Kimura hunched over this console, reading some of Dr. Talley's note. There are some of the other notes that she's kind of left for you. Are probably a little bit more disturbing than even what you've just read. And she seems to be. She spent a few hours observing whatever it is that's in the tube. And the readouts, it says, she kind of writes that the readouts from the various monitors show that some kind of conversion is taking place. and the cells she's watched as cells were being kind of rebuilt, taking on new purposes that she doesn't fully understand, and seem to follow some as yet undisclosed purpose. And I think that probably freaks you out the most is she mentions that a few hours ago, almost imperceptibly, a few of the cells had kind of grouped together and then split off from the main mass and had moved towards the edge of the cylinder. And she hadn't noticed this movement at first. It was kind of so slight. It was only when she kind of rewound the camera and had watched the footage again that this small pinkish grey patch of tissue that was no larger than a thumbnail was now a few centimeters closer, further from Barber's remains than it was earlier. And she'd kind of observed it after that and watched as it had inched slowly towards the edge of the tube. And this is probably when she probably kind of lost it, because she kind of writes how she kind of got this feeling that it was trying to find a way out.
Ew.
Dr. Barber, what has happened to you and who are you? Yes. A slight smile will come upon his face as he's hunched over the screen. Fascinating.
So that's when Gideon arrives.
Probably won't look up. He's still focused on the screen.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is scary.
There's definitely more of them than there was this morning.
Yeah, I mean, as you've seen the body before, there is nothing that resembles anything to do with Louis Barber here anymore. Whereas before there was the kind of the top half of him.
Yeah.
It's just a fleshy mass.
The place looks more like an abattoir than a freaking med bay.
I'll turn towards our security chief. Did you happen to touch the good doctor?
Nope.
Protected? No?
I didn't go near. I didn't go.
Oh crap! Who put him in the body bag?
Everybody. They were hazmat. They were.
All right.
Okay. I was outside, told to not let anyone in.
And the people that actually did put his body into the body bag and brought him here, where are those people? They need to be isolated now. Even if they were wearing hazmat suits. We have no idea how this thing is transmitted. Looking at Dr. Talley's notes, it seems that there is some... I don't like to use the word intelligence in this thing, but some of these cells actually are trying to escape out of the tube. And this
Maybe
could...
Wilkes and Jansen.
Damn us all.
Who knows?
They need to be isolated. Whoever put them in the suits needs to be isolated immediately.
If you could Jansen, if you could lock yourself in your suit, that'd be fine.
We must do some tests on them to see if they've been infected.
Actually, this would be perfect. The comments would be like, Zach Jansen, could you please report to med lab?
Saber, yes.
That's interesting. Now that's an interesting thing. Zach, you've climbed into this central air shaft, and you can kind of your torchlight kind of lights up part of the area. You can see a few of the inspection lights kind of scattered around as well, which are casting little pockets of light around the entire chamber. As you're kind of making your way up, it's kind of, you can see this kind of condensation kind of running down the walls, and the walls are kind of lined with pipe and kind of conduit for obviously containing cables of some kind and stuff like that. And you've climbed part way up. You're probably, I'd say you're halfway up this this long climb now, when you get this comms message from the chief of security.
Yeah. Just gonna be looking around like, what am I supposed to do? Just confused. Because is there any other way out?
Well, there's kind of like tunnels that kind of stretch off. Pretty much at every deck, you will have like a kind of a bunch of these kind of vents that will kind of reach off and go around the deck, and then kind of spread the air between the various parts of each deck.
Yeah, I hope it'll come through as just like an announcement, like a burst message. It doesn't really need a reply.
Yeah,
They just need to go to MedLab. And then I'll do another
Yeah,
one to Miss Wilkes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Miss Wilkes, your physical is due. Please report to MedLab.
And that's the weird thing there, is that he's telling you to report to MedLab and not the medical
The
centre.
clinic. I'll take that as a yes.
Sorry, what? I'm just in the middle of writing a report for this morning's incident.
You need to report to the med lab immediately for a examination.
On whose authority?
Medical. Because
I'll just finish this report and I will drop this off with station boss McKay, what?
Well, if
Harry.
just be like, well, okay, take your time. But if you feel a bit scratchy, you may just want to leave the report and come to MedLab. Just saying. I'll sign off.
I'll be there in time. Just click off.
Okay.
My plan is to finish the report and take it to the boss.
Harry, yeah. Sure.
Anti-vaxxers.
Jensen.
Yeah.
So you received this report as you're kind of halfway up your climb here. What I'd like you to do, I think I'd like you to make an education roll.
Right. Okay.
You're not going to have any bonuses on this one,
Just straight education.
so it's just a straight education.
Okay.
Ooh. So you're kind of, as you're kind of sitting there cursing your entire life as it is at the moment, you kind of look around and your torchlight on your kind of helmet, it kind of swings around across through the air shaft, and you catch a glimpse of something in the light. And as you kind of swing back round, you kind of see there's like you wouldn't know this as a character, but as a player, I could describe it better as, it's a bit like when you have like a load of kind of like dandelion seeds that are all kind of stuck together, like creating this kind of wispy thing that seems to be floating around in the air. And it's probably only an inch long,
Oh, that's fine.
and you kind of see that
Right.
just
Do we
in the torchlight just for a moment.
do we have plants on the station?
You probably do have like a botanical section, but I mean, with your education role there, that doesn't look like any plant life form thing. It's kind of, it's a little bit more, shall we say, cobwebby.
So it's like more solid cobwebby kind of.
Yeah, but it's very, very fine. It's only because your torchlight kind of reflected off it slightly that you caught this kind of glimpse of it in the vent, in the kind of the air shaft floating through the air, and it was very small, and you missed it at first as you look across, and the torchlight just caught it, and you swung back, and you just caught this thing as it kind of drifted through the air slightly past you.
Does it come down?
It seems to have just drifted out of the light. Yeah.
I was like, oh my, what the hell are they putting in the vents? I'm gonna try and down and find it and just.
I'm not sure if were you there actually when they removed the body.
can't remember because I went out to turn off the vents in the water.
You did, didn't you?
So I don't know
perhaps
whether I went back in because I was like, I don't touch body stuff.
no, and I think so. You probably didn't see what happened, right? Okay, that's fine. Um, but yeah. So that's what you're seeing. You've no real idea what it is. You've probably never seen a proper cobweb yourself in your life.
No.
You certainly haven't seen any dandelions. Um, Earth that is a toxic wasteland.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna try and find it. And
Hmm.
yeah, I might grab it. Because he
You're
doesn't
gonna
know what
grab
it
it?
is. Because it's in the vent.
Okay.
I need to get out the
Yeah,
vent.
sure. Um,
'Cause
so
yeah.
yeah, that makes it makes total sense to me. Um, so yeah, you kind of you descend the ladder slightly, and you see this thing kind of just catching it in the torchlight again. You reach out your hand, and it kind of settles onto your hand. And as it's kind of there, you kind of see it kind of spreads out slightly onto your hand. Um, and there's a slight movement, perhaps. Must be the air currents down here seeming to kind of move it. It seems to like lift up at one end.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't know any better, you would think that perhaps it was like it was feeling its way along your hand. Maybe.
Nothing to worry
Good
about.
enough, I don't know any better. I'm in a
That's
suit,
a
so
good point.
I can't feel the air
And that's the
flow.
only reason you're not making a pressure roll right now.
Yeah, do it,
Don't put it in your mouth.
Excuse me.
It literally just goes stood there like it's the
Yeah.
only entertainment he's had for a few hours. So
Yeah. And perhaps if you kind of scrape your hand across it, it kind of just kind of squishes out into kind of like a slightly gooey kind of sticky
something.
yeah, powder.
Yeah.
A bit like maybe if you like when you the powder that is left behind by a moth, kind of like that
Yeah.
on your glove.
Yeah, it's just like, oh no.
Yeah. I'm sure it's nothing.
There. I think we're just gonna have to set fire to the air supply, aren't we?
You're just gonna have to set fire to me. Yeah, so if it's
Set
just
fire.
all smushed, it's just like
Yeah.
just wipe it on the pants or the wall or something, just like get it off.
Yeah. Yeah, you run
Made a
your hand
mistake.
down like one of the pipes or something that's on there and just kind of scrape it off.
Like a child trying to get rid of something.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you carry on with your climb, I guess.
Yeah.
So now you've been asked to take some kind of sampling of the air here, haven't you? And so you've probably got some kind of equipment here that you're going to. It's got like some kind of it's a box with some kind of one thing that will take a kind of an air sample reading, which you can then take off up to the powers that be, just to be sure that there's absolutely nothing untoward in the air.
Yeah, I would probably do that a couple of low levels below.
Yeah.
Like the habitation area.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And so you lean over and you wave this wand around, kind of around that area, around that deck, around each of the different vents. There's kind of like a walkway as you reach a particular level. There's kind of a walkway you can go around. You stick to each vent and do a kind of sample or whatever, and it takes a reading on the computer. Yes, and that all goes rather swimmingly.
See, you had nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the bit. I need to scan the air here. To be like, huh, that's weird. And like,
Look, if this was a Ridley Scott movie, it would be much dumber than this.
that's true.
Right. Who should we visit next? Now we've got Bahari and the doctor are in MedLab. So you finish your report, Susan.
Mm-hmm. I take it to the boss.
Mm. He takes it and looks at it. He says, "Do you still have that data stick I gave you?"
I went and transferred it. I think so. I think it's in.
You told me you hold on. I asked you this in the week, and you said you'd held on to it.
Yeah. It's in my office in the safe.
You should probably destroy it.
Why?
There could be information on it which might cause us some problems.
Okay. Did you read the report? What was Is there anything I should know?
Look, you know that Hero to Genetech, they're very generous with the use of their labs and equipment for private research from our researchers. What you probably don't know is that they do like to take a rather direct interest in any projects that seem particularly interesting. I'm telling you this because I trust you, Susan.
Yeah. Can we just be direct? So somebody took an interest in Barber's technology.
Barber was conducting some, I don't know what you would call it. It was incredible. His experiment was unorthodox. It would probably get us into some trouble. But it was very promising. And the board were very, very interested in what he was coming up with. Now, I don't know whether what happened to him is anything to do with this experiment. I was told him when he was fired he had to destroy all of his samples.
Right. So you're telling me that the experiments that Barber was doing is why he turned into a giant gooey sausage thing that went into the water supply.
Don't know that. I have no evidence of that.
So what information were you sending?
It was his research note.
Have you read his research notes?
I've seen part of them.
Sir, you know I'm loyal to the corporation and you know I follow all the rules. But right now, you're endangering 800 lives. So stop with the cryptic stuff.
I haven't endangered anyone. It's not me, it's Barber, you understand?
If you knew this information and now 800 lives are in danger.
Susan, it was for the good of the company, you understand that?
Look, this. I walk out.
Susan! Susan, don't you walk away from me.
Fuck off. I go out and shut the door.
Okay.
I go onto the comms. Zach, get out the air shaft. Muted.
You're muted, babe.
Why? I've just gone all this way. I've got your samples.
Get out the air shaft. Stop fucking arguing now. Get out the air shaft and get somewhere safe.
You need to make up your mind. Am I going to medbay or what?
Go to medbay and go to medbay now.
Fine. I'm assuming you have to get out going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start climbing. Susan, where are you heading?
I'm heading to med lab.
Med lab, yeah. Where currently?
Oh no, go and get the data stick from my office on the way, then go to med lab.
Okay. Excellent. Right.
I'm about to save your shit. Shut up.
So, yeah, you're currently in MedLab. It's been a few minutes. You've had this discussion over the comms with both Jensen and Wilkes, and it's probably, I guess it's half an hour later, or when Wilkes finally arrives. You've just been going through this data, Doctor Kimura, and yes, it's fascinating. You're not sure what's going on, but it does appear that there is some some kind of cellular conversion process is occurring. But it appears to you that whatever is happening, these cells, they're kind of changing into different, that they're kind of mutating away from kind of human cells, if you like. But there's like different types of these cells. They all have like a different purpose that you haven't really been able to ascertain what it is. It's a bit like, you kind of have skin cells, you have brain cells, that kind of thing in a human body. And these things seem to be splitting into different types of cells, but they are definitely no longer like regular human cells, if you like. They do a pretty good imitation if they want. Yeah, but there's something, the way they're acting and the way they seem to be working, like as a group on occasion, and sometimes as a single individual as well. It makes you feel, you got the feeling that these things are actually intelligent. They are actually working to a purpose, and they're thinking. Susan, that's when you arrive.
I walk into the office and I just say, I need an update and you need an update. At that point, I'll ask where the other doctor is.
Dr. Tally.
Mm-hmm. Where's Dr. Tally?
Oh, sorry, you talking to me? Sorry,
Where's
Tally? That is the question. That is
right.
the question. I'd like to know where Dr. Tally is. I would like to speak to Dr. Tally.
Are you up to date on what's happening?
This is fascinating. Did you move the body?
I didn't touch the body. That's beneath me. But
you were in the room with the body, yes?
No, I think I stood at the door.
So you in the door? The door open? Yes.
Yes.
Right, come this way. Come this way. I need to.
Wait. Wait.
No. There's no time.
Wait. You need to look at this, and I give him the data stick.
Okay.
What's this?
Yeah, it's like a standard kind of data stick that you've seen people carrying their kind of research notes and stuff around on.
I'll plug it into a reader.
Yeah. And when you open up the files, it seems to be kind of research notes, all kind of done in a very particular way, very professional kind of manner. And it all seems to belong or to have been recorded by Dr. Louis Barber.
Dr. Barber, what have you been up to? Don't go away. I'll turn, just not looking at her, but pointing at this.
So while he's doing that, I'll just turn
You'll be fine. Sit.
to Gideon.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Gideon.
Yes.
It's come to my attention that the corporation hasn't got our best interests.
I had no idea. Sorry, is this your first day on the job?
Yeah. I know that the corporation pay our wages, and that's the main thing. And paying the wages and getting on in life is the only thing that has driven me for so long. But right now, there's 800 souls that are in danger.
Well, technically 799 now.
Yeah. Well, no, because this new entity might be take it back up. They wanted me to destroy those research notes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I might have told the boss to go and fuck himself, and you might get a call of security to arrest me.
Yeah, probably. Did you tell him where you kept the crystal? The data rod?
No. But we need to make a copy of it, or we need to send it to the right people. But I did send it somewhere, so I'm assuming it went to the corporation, so they know what he was up to, but they want us to keep it quiet. Zach, are you out the air vent yet?
It's a big air vent. It takes a while.
You stop moaning!
Yeah,
That's why cardio is rule number 1, Jensen.
Yeah. You've managed to get out of that. You've managed to climb out of that air vent. Did you say you were going up? You were climbing up on the higher deck. Was that the point? Was that you?
Just getting out of a normal exit, not through a vent.
Okay. Yeah. And so you're kind of in the corridor, and you can make your way to MedLab 2 if you so desire. It's not too far away.
Yeah, I'll go to MedLab.
Excellent. Okay, so you should be arriving there shortly. Right. So, Dr. Kimura, you're going through these research notes, and you're kind of listening to these kind of recordings and stuff. And Dr. Barber, I mean, you'd heard that he was something of a genius, but his nature kind of always kept him back. People didn't like him, so he never really made it. And you're listening to his kind of recording. He's basically saying, I woke up one morning with the idea that we were thinking too small. When HG finally cracked the biochip, it would already be obsolete. So what was the next step? How about a bioengineered cell that could diagnose, repair, and reprogram damaged cells? An autonomous organic computer program to repair the host organism. It would be like supercharging what the human body already does naturally. I began experimenting on modifying the genetic code of simple bacteria. Spent years recombining proteins, but nothing took. 3 years ago, my experiments took a change in direction. I took lymphocytes from my own blood, began cataloging and modifying the 6.4 million base pairs. I was keeping all of my research notes encrypted on my computer. Anyway, 3 months ago, breakthrough happened. The lymphocytes, or maybe I should call them Louisites. They began to respond. It was like I had an epiphany, and their genetic code just opened up. Before too long, they were solving simple problems like basic arithmetic or navigating protein mazes in exchange for food. And it kind of goes on pretty much like this, where it certainly seems like he has created some kind of artificial intelligence, if you like, but in an organic human cells based from his own blood.
Insane.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Insightful.
Doc, when you finished
Amazing.
reading it and whatever you plan to do with those notes in your private quarters, could you make a copy?
Yes,
safekeeping.
Yes, I'll make a copy. This is
Yeah.
remarkable, Dr. Barber. You are a genius, an insane genius. Some would say possibly a megalomaniac. Just insane.
So, yeah, it appears that Dr. Barber's experiment may have succeeded beyond his wildest expectation.
He's created something that could kill us all.
Now there's a little Dr. Barber in everyone.
Potentially. If there is, you could be in trouble. Because it will rewrite you into it. I need to. You were near the body, weren't you? You were in the doorway. You said
We all were,
Ah.
effectively.
Ah,
But if it takes programming instructions, surely we could program it to kill itself
let's take a.
before you needed
We need,
new pair of pants after reading through that data log.
we need to examine you, make sure that you're not infected, before we consider what course of action we take with this life form. It's effectively intelligent life.
As
We
all of
need
your
to test.
communits, all of your communits beep all at the same time. And it basically, it's like a pager, if you like, this thing. And the message is basically meeting my office. And it's from SEO McNary.
We can't leave this room until I've tested you.
Well, let's do that first.
I need to examine and do diagnostics on you to see if you've been
Page
infected.
back. Meeting rescheduled to MedLab.
Your communit buzzes just after you send that, Susan.
Does that mean I have to say hello?
Yes.
Um,
You want to know
Wilkes.
that it's coming from Station Executive Officer.
Wilkes.
I'm willing to forget what you said earlier, but we need to meet.
Fortunately, we're all contaminated, and 800 people, 799 people are at risk. If you want to have this conversation, then you come down to the med lab.
Fine.
Don't be long.
And then everybody's kind of comlinks, kind of meeting MedLab.
You find out I actually replied all. Now
Um,
there's 700 odd people trying to get into the med lab. Where's
It wasn't
Jensen? It's been
700.
three-
You know,
yeah.
700 people is there?
No,
Where's
it's
Jen-
not going
yeah.
out to everyone.
All right.
Where's Jensen? It's been like 3 days.
Yeah, Jensen.
How long is that
arrives. In fact, Jensen, you probably even get the message because of the fact that you are one of the people that encountered this thing already.
Yeah. Everyone's just getting pinged on this ladder.
Yeah, so eventually, the med lab starts filling up with these people start filing in, other members of the crew. You find that there's obviously Dr. Kimura. Are you all seeing these, by the way? These when I'm putting them up. If I
Are the pictures?
There's
Yeah.
the pictures, yeah.
Yes.
oh, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. So
Yes, yeah, it's on
obviously there's-
Streamlab.
Excellent, Dr. Kimura.
I think
Susan,
when I get to the lab, I'll be literally just going through, trying to find Dr. Tully, holding this
Okay.
wand
Yeah.
out, just like, where's Doc? I want to get rid of this. Where is she? Doctor? Just wandering around. Doctor!
Yeah. And she is not there, strange. And so a lot of these people kind of coming in. You recognise some of them. Wait, actually, you would recognise all of them. There's Dr. Lee, who's part of the biochip program, along with partner in crime, Dr. Brennan. Yeah. About it? I think that's about it. And so you're all kind of standing in MedLab, which is, it's a fairly big area. You're all kind of standing around. And Arthur McNary kind of stands up in front of everybody and says, I have some grave news. It appears that there has been some kind of outbreak However, it hasn't come from any of our biolabs. It's not been a containment breach in that sense. It appears that one of our colleagues has been working on something privately. And it may have gotten onto the station. And unfortunately, all of our protocols deal with containment breach from inside the lab, not from inside. So we're in kind of uncharted territory here. Dr. Kimura, have you read any of Dr. Talley's notes?
Yeah, I have. It's interesting stuff.
Oh,
Either a
and he's
madman
reading
or a
notes
genius.
as well.
Are you able to brief these people?
If we're infected, we're in trouble.
Yeah. And I think we'll
I
take
haven't had a chance to examine anyone yet. There's too many people here.
So I think as you kind of get up and stand in front of these people to explain the situation to them, I think that's when we'll take a little break. If that's all right with everyone?
Yep. Now we've all been told we're going to die.
Yay.
Well, no,
Consider it wisely.
I mean, it's a
become
lot
we'll
later
become
than
a
I thought,
barbershop
so-
quartet.
I see what you did there. I approve.
That
Okay,
just somehow
guys, we're gonna
undermines
go for-
everything.
We're going to go for a 10-minute break so everybody can have a pee and a tea
Yes.
and toast.
Get the two confused.
Yeah, no, it's not very nice if you do that. So, get along, everybody. And we'll see you in 10.
See you in 10, everybody.
I've just found out that ants don't wee.
Are you going to tell them what you Googled, what you told us about
No,
earlier?
they don't need to.
No, don't need to know
No.
that. No.
But fact
That'll
of
be
the
your
day.
dirty little secret, will it?
Yeah. Fact of the day, ants don't wee. They don't have a urinary tract. So they poo, though. Nor do caterpillars. Caterpillars poop as well.
I'm really. I bet. I bet.
Wasps rub the ground, leaving a mucky brown streak.
What?
Yeah, I imagine chat are really, really glad they tuned in now.
This pretty much sums up in between stream chats. This is all it is.
Look,
This was because when I made my cup of tea downstairs, I poured the milk and I kind of hung on to the bottle, you know, the little silver top things, and it fell in my tea. So I was a bit upset by this because I said, when it sits on the doorstep, ants and moths could poo on it.
So dropping a lid in a cup led you down some kind of butthole, wormhole nonsense.
It did. I've now found out facts that I didn't need to know about.
Like a freaking stream of consciousness.
Oh, hi, John. Sorry. New fact. You can write that into any of your stories, that some of them, ants don't pee, caterpillars poop, wasps wipe their asses on floors, but some have tentacles. Some insects have tentacles and they squirt it out from the tubular things in their stomachs. There you go. That could be written into any kind of horror story there.
Anyway, back to the body horror.
I don't think we can ever compete. That's the
I
problem.
just hope the fleshy blob monsters aren't just leaving skid marks everywhere.
Wasps.
No, the bad guy isn't wasps in this game.
Wasp leaves skid marks.
The wasps are bad guys in every game.
Bong, you should have heard what she was talking about before the stream started. That would have scared you more.
Please, no. Anyway,
Mark has to live with me. Don't you all feel sorry for him?
Yes, Mr. Hicks. Hello, Mr.
I'm
Hicks.
just waiting for everybody in chat to go, yes.
Like Jonathan's surprised. He spent the day with me.
Yeah. I am sorry. I'm truly sorry, chat.
As soon as we have John here, should I say, kill the elves?
Yeah.
I did try to have a section, but
Yeah.
they just wouldn't do it. The things you have to go through these days.
I know. Body horror. Come on, let's go back to body horror.
Right.
I
So,
say hi to John, but I don't want him to spill his drink.
he just spit it all over himself.
Hmm.
Right. Let's go back to the game. So, Dr. Kimura, you have stood up and you've given your analysis to these people. I don't know, perhaps you've managed to transfer the notes to everybody who's got like one of these data pads, and people have sat and kind of perused through all of this stuff. It's been fairly quiet for the last
No,
half
no,
an hour or so.
wouldn't have sent notes. No, no.
You wouldn't send notes.
No,
Okay.
no, no, no.
Oh, you
no,
would
no.
keep those to yourself.
Oh yes, definitely. I should continue his work. Right.
You do know that none of you are going to survive this, right? Anyway,
Well, you're not very
So-
nice, are you?
that's the good ending.
Let's just hope it's not a race to the bottom.
Right. So you have stood up in front of this crowd. You've given them a little briefing.
Now we need to get everyone checked. So the nurses, they're going to take some tests. Yes, gloves on. Think of England. Yes.
What's England?
Okay. So
I
you
don't want to take my suit off.
It's
contaminated.
You've been sat there the whole time in a hazmat.
Yes.
I-
still
Potentially
got
covered
one
in contagion.
Nobody's taking anything off me, so I'm just sat there.
Who sat next to her? Not me.
Thought she was with you.
Would everybody like to make a strength roll, please?
Strength.
Fuck.
Yes.
That roll.
Yes.
Don't roll a one.
These lowest better, right?
Did mine roll?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh wait.
Which
can I
bit
add
do
my
I,
medical
which
to
bit
it?
do I roll? Just the word
No,
strength?
just strength.
Oh,
It's not working. Hold on. I
Is
popped it out.
the thing open? No, don't do that.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I got partial success. So I'm
Always-
already partially infected.
There's always one, isn't
Well, that's because I'm so uber hard that I passed.
Okay. Right. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So the group has been quiet. They've been standing there. They've been kind of digesting all of this information that you've kind of presented to them, Dr. Kimura. And Dr. Brennan, now she's the person that's been in charge of the whole biochip kind of experiment. She kind of is the first one to speak. And she says something like, so we believe that these things are intelligent.
Yes, this is evidence of intelligence. Problem-solving capabilities.
Well, I suppose if you were to look at it from their perspective, before they made it through the blood-brain barrier, Louis Barber would have been all that they had known. He would have been their entire universe.
That is frightening.
Once they'd access to his brain, they'd have discovered the existence of a still greater universe. They've found their creator. They found God.
If you believe in such things, yes.
Well, religion and science have always had a rather fragile relationship.
Indeed, throughout the centuries. Yes.
Probably with a lot of scientists thinking they were God and making poor life choices.
And that even manages to elicit a couple of nervous laughs. And the guy at the back, there's like this pale-looking guy with blonde hair. You know him as Dr. Baxter Warwick. He's a mathematician. And he kind of, he's been sitting at the back. He's been mulling over a few things. And he just says, well, allow me to present one or two more rather alarming facts. These Lewisites convert any living cells into more Lewisites. And they're incredibly efficient at this. Nothing is wasted, as far as we can tell. And we should bear that in mind when we consider that there are around 30 to 40 trillion cells in the average human body. And so, with such a rapid and efficient process, and according to our current knowledge, we can deduce that in the last 24 hours, that the Lewisites have probably become the most popular sentient life form in the galaxy. Dr. Kimura is right. We need to quarantine this station.
At last, someone agreed to me. Sense.
If any of these things was somehow to get off this station, it wouldn't mean the end of humanity. It would mean the end of everything.
Well, there's a transport outside due in a couple of days that I think we should probably send back, or at least tell them to keep their distance for the time being.
Yes, we can't allow them to. We can't allow them to dock. Not until we're able to ascertain a way of dealing with these. And
We need to do tests. Tests. We need to scan everyone. Yes.
I have a question.
And then what? Sorry. Yeah.
No, just while they're explaining all that and saying that nobody can come, it's just question. How are you going to fix something that thinks for itself and has killed its own god? How we can't even see it.
Well, we can find out what it's weak to, or if these things were programmed to begin with, we could maybe program them to switch off.
How do you program a thing that's alive?
Probably the same way they did the first time around.
Fascinating thing, because what you're saying is genocide. We want to kill them. We want to destroy them.
Gonna kill us.
And if they're actually infected, we're infected, they may already know that we want to kill them.
Well, maybe you can worry about that when you can have a conversation with them. For the time being, we should try and save the people we know that can actually do something.
And Warwick kind of chimes in there. Once again, the doctor has a good point. We have to act quickly. If they form some kind of collective intelligence, they get smarter the more things that they infect. We'll eventually reach a point where they will know exactly what we're going to do before we do it.
Yes. 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 Let's start. Right. I need to go and study them. We need to get the nurses to start scanning everybody, especially people that have been in close contact with Dr. Barber's body before it was put into isolation.
That's a good idea, says McNary.
Right. Yes, let's get that done.
One question, Doctor.
Yes.
Assuming you find anybody who is infected.
Yes.
Can they be cured?
Who knows? We've not studied the issue yet. Dr. Tally has got some notes, but I need to go through them a bit more thoroughly, and then we need to examine the sample that we have before we can decide if we are able to kill it. We need to decide if we should kill it. Is this the next evolutionary path? Who knows? But until we find out what's going on, who knows if we can kill it or not. Cure it. Cure it. Cure it. Cure it, not kill. Cure.
Kill or cure.
Well, something like that. But I will.
In the meantime, we should lock everyone down, purge the air system or whatever, just see if we can get rid of as many cells as we can, or at least catch them somehow so they're not in circulation.
If it is airborne, then you're going to find it very difficult to purge the air system.
Yeah,
because we're all
something's better than
breathing
nothing.
in.
Showered this morning.
If they're in the water system, that could be another issue.
And have you brushed your teeth this morning?
And probably everyone here.
Though we do have different water supplies, don't we? Or is it one whole supply for the whole system? I thought we did like a.
You've switched the backup system on, but you did that only a few hours ago, wasn't it? After you found out, after you discovered the body.
More than likely, we're all infected anyway.
Wait. What? Wait. No. How long was he like that? How did you know?
A few hours.
Well,
So we don't know how much actually got into the water supply.
it was really early in the morning, wasn't it, when we found him?
Yeah. Susan, I'd like to speak to you.
Anything you need to say to me, say it now.
In private.
No.
Susan?
I'm done with this corporate bullshit. We need to destroy these things. We need to stop the thing from coming, and we need to clear the air vents and clear the water things, and try and salvage what we can. You're going to try and wheedle your way out of it in private.
And he kind of steps forward. He kind of leans towards you, and he kind of whispers, "They know it wasn't me, right? They have to know it wasn't me."
Then say. You wanted the evidence destroying.
Look, that evidence would implicate you and me in what has happened here.
Bothered. It's bigger than me and you. Stop being a fucking arse.
He stands back. He's a little bit taken aback and a little bit embarrassed, maybe, and he kind of turns away and with his head down and heads out of med lab.
Right, Doctor, you need to get your head into this and get it sorted. You need to find a formula. You need to find some way of solving it and killing them off without 799 people dying. There's some very capable doctors here. We need to alert the station not to drink, shower, or breathe.
Dr. Kimura?
Yes.
Nurse Munn kind of tries to get your attention.
Okay, I'll go over. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Can I help?
And he kind of gestures towards the isolation tube that contains Mandy.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
And so you kind of look into the tube, and you can see that it's kind of how you would imagine. And I don't know if Dr. Kimura has ever seen a corpse that has been burned before. it's almost like it's kind of like as if she was made of plastic and partially melted. You can kind of see that it's kind of sinking down into the kind of temper foam of the bed that she was kind of laying on. Almost as if she's kind of liquefying, but quite slowly, like plasticized or something, and she's starting to melt away. Her eyes are open. There's like a kind of milky film over them, and her eyes are kind of moving beneath this film. You can kind of just make out the pupils kind of moving around beneath. In fact, I think I'm going to make everybody make pressure rolls right now because of what they've learned so far. Look at that. Fucking hell. Just
I've
Zach.
seen it all before.
Yeah. Zach, you're going to have to add a dot to your pressure. What are you on now, pressure-wise?
2.
Okay, can you click pressure level for me, please?
Ooh.
You're all right. So you're not all right. You're kind of like you were saying earlier. You're having a little bit of a meltdown. But you're kind of keeping it together at this moment in time. But yeah, you are. You're probably. I mean, you've been down in the air vents. I don't know if maybe you're making the connection yet. But oh, Mandy, you came and you gave without taking.
Yes.
And maybe that's why you're perhaps feeling a little bit stressed out about this whole thing. Do you mention to anybody that what you saw? Or are you keeping that? Or are you just shrugging it off? That was nothing. That must have been something else.
I'm still shrugging it off because I'll be thinking of it like a virus, like
Yeah.
where you can't actually see it.
Right. Yeah, good point.
So, yeah.
Sure. Cool. So, what's everybody doing?
Oh, we're gonna go with tests, or we're just gonna assume everyone's infected and try and find a cure?
That's entirely up to you.
Doctor?
I'm happy to be tested. There's not a lot I can do about it, but at least we know.
At the moment, I am fascinated by this metamorphosis in the tube in front of me, and I'm staring at it intently, watching it, making sure we're recording it and taking notes, and kind of
Okay, so
everything else is oblivious to
Sure.
him. Bar
Get
this
in this
tube
cocks
round.
his gun. We're gonna need a new medic character.
Yeah, nobody is testing. It's being tested at the moment because
Yeah.
the doctor has found another subject.
Yes.
Which is cool.
It'd be nice if we could do some simple tests on some samples for, like, I don't know, 0 oxygen, low, like, freezing temperatures, because then if we potentially could space parts of the station, we could just kill it off in baths. Who knows?
Yeah, which is fine, unless people are infected.
If we're infected, is the doctor still here? Or has he ran off to med?
The doctor is staring into this tube where
Doctor.
currently Mandy is.
Doctor.
Second, this is
Doctor.
This is important.
If we're infected,
Then we're already dead, unless
If
we
we-
can find a cure, and we can't find a cure unless we can study what's happening.
if
So,
we're
I need
infected,
to look
oh,
at this.
oh my god! If we're infected, will we infect others?
And we don't know how the virus is transmitted, how these things
I think that's the other
metamorphose
thing.
into our cells. We need research. We need data.
Yeah, it's not
We
actually
need
a virus.
scientists.
It's not behaving like a virus.
Zach, did you see anything in the air vents?
It's dark, damp. Wait, if it's airborne, are these suits actually? These suits good enough? I've been in the vents, like been all in the vents, in the air, and
Yeah,
like.
you find
these
out
suits-
Zach's actually covered in a thin layer of, like, parasite.
Are these like?
Hmm.
Like, how? How did? Am I safe? Are the suits good enough?
Should just take like the helmet off and you're like, not anymore. Now you're in it with the rest of us.
Like, are these? They got breathing stuff, but do they actually stop all the little particles and all the virus
I
stuff?
assume it's got its own breather unit, so I assume.
Yeah, I mean, that
so
has
provided it
much
doesn't
breathe.
get in your suit, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be no good if you went out into space, but it would protect you from anything that. Yeah. So
He's now rambling. Like it's
no,
literally
no,
just like right. So
that makes perfect sense as well. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're not doing. The doctor is currently busy.
He's
What's-
researching.
Yeah, what's Gideon doing?
I mean, coming up with ideas and no one is listening.
You're thinking you want to starve them of oxygen. Or one of
Yeah,
these
so that's the
tests.
thing. So we have Mandy's body in like a pod or like a bay or something that's sort of sealed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if we'd be able to do those tests through that. Because like sucking the air out of it, I don't know. Or creating a pressure thing where it might just at least give us a test.
Are you going to
Do we have
suggest that?
incinerators?
I don't know. Do you have incinerators?
Yeah, I mean,
The-
we haven't
the
found a way to
engineers.
get the. We have a little chimney on the side of the station that just.
Yeah,
ki-
I'd imagine
puffs
there
the
would
smoke
be
out.
to get rid of all the
Yeah.
waste rather than just chucking it in space. That's
I
my-
mean,
You've never met humans before.
fire in space is really bad.
But
Yeah.
Maybe a way of incinerating something like even if it's like acid incineration, or do they do such a thing like that? You know, like make it melt or.
Throw acid
Yeah,
at something. and-
but yeah, like while the doctor is distracted, I can try and do my own little like test, just like simple things of like if we starve it of oxygen, will like cells die? If we freeze it, like
okay.
or like not necessarily freeze it, but like get it cold. Like if we get cold enough, are they like more sensitive than?
Let's
regular
put
human
the
cells?
gooey bodies in an airlock and then get a big flamethrower and then flame them with the flamethrower and then shut the airlock and then send them out to space.
I mean, I'm not sure what they'll tell us, apart from that they're no longer on the station.
That's not a good idea.
Well, we're trying to find a way to like. I'm just trying to find. We're trying to find ways to like
About them. Yeah.
kill these things without killing other people. But
Doctor,
I'll do my own little test while the scientist is distracted.
Acid bath.
Dr. Kimura.
Doctor,
Yes.
how is this organism getting around?
We don't know yet. We haven't had a chance to. This is why I need to watch this. We need to see how this goes. Then we can do tests. Then we need to go and check everyone else. We need to test to see if there's some commonality between poor Mandy here, the good Dr. Barber over there, and our own tests. But we have no one doing any tests. We have doctors and nurses here, and no one's doing any tests.
Yeah, speak
Is
for
it-
yourself, Duck.
Do these organisms do they like? I don't know. You just see me staring at my hand. I have this dirty mark down my hand. It's like
I'm looking at a hand. Where have you been?
there was something in the vent.
What did you see in the vent?
It was floaty and stringy and squishy.
Oh, come. I'm going to take her over to Dr. Barber. Was it like this?
Now, the thing is, Dr. Barber is now a kind of just this kind of inert, fleshy mass that's just kind of sitting there in this tube with kind of a mix of kind of browns and pinks and purples, kind of veiny in some places. It's quite a horrific mess that's kind of sat in this. But Dr. Kimura, you've noticed that a few more of these smallish pinkish grey patches have kind of detached themselves from the main mass and are kind of moving very slowly along the edge of the isolation tube.
It didn't look like that.
Look. They're trying to get out. Have you seen that? Can you see that?
Is it safe? No. Kill it.
We can't kill it just yet. We need to understand it. We need to.
Bloody hell!
What?
If we don't understand how it infects us, how can we stop it?
What are you going to be able... Are these things safe?
What things? These
Things...
tubes.
Oops. You said they're trying to get out. You said they're clever. You said they've destroyed their own god. How do you know they're not going to figure out how to get out of the tube?
If they can get out of the tube, then it doesn't matter what we do. We'll all
If you
end
can
up.
get out of the tube, then get in suits. These suits aren't safe. Are these suits safe?
Oh, well, it depends. Have you had the suit on since before the incident occurred this morning?
Yes, I got told to suit up before going in the room and seeing the squishy thing.
Yes. Did you clean your teeth this morning? Did you shower this morning? Did you have breakfast this morning?
Yes, I did all those things.
Now, we don't know when the good doctor started metamorphosizing into whatever he is transformed into. Whatever they've done, they could have already infected the entire station before you even put your suit on. So as to whether your suit is safe, potentially it is safe. Potentially it's not.
You're not helping.
We
do have a kind of time frame because I'm also the last person to see him bipedal and the first person to see him monopedal. Whatever you call that appendage. So we actually have a time frame.
We need to test you. Yes, right. We need to get you in a tube. Test you. We need to scan you.
I'm a bit big for a test tube.
Potentially not.
It's about this point that the comms unit buzzes. And as you answer it, Dr. Kimura, assuming you do.
Well, if it's me, yes.
Yeah. Doctor, I think we may have a medical emergency down on Corridor G.
What sort of medical emergency? What is it?
I'm not sure I could explain it, sir.
Right, I'll be done now. Right, Corridor D. Right, I'll be there. Right. Mr. Bahari, sit down. We've got a nurse that can do some tests on him, please.
I mean, if it's another case, we should go together. We stop by the weapons locker on the way down.
Weapons?
Because I don't want to take any chances with this thing that's learning to do whatever it wants.
But if you've been infected, it could be it directing you to get the weapons for it. That would be quite a security risk. I suggest you stay here. We'll go.
But maybe you're being directed to go and infect someone else, so you should stay here as well.
More than likely I am. But if we all stay here, we're all going to die.
Exactly my point. So come with me.
Well, I suppose.
If I stop being more sympathetic to your craziness, you'll know that I've been infected. How about that?
You probably have been infected, but we'll have to see.
Your comm unit buzzes, Bahari.
Yeah.
It's one of your security guys. Sir, you might want to come down here.
Here? Corridor G?
No, sir, we're talking about Corridor A.
Balls. Okay, I'm on my way. How bad's the situation? Is it contained?
It's bad. I've sealed the room.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on in there. And then the buzzer goes again.
It's going to be a long day.
Doctor, I'm not feeling well.
Uh-oh.
Who said this?
This is somebody on the comms unit again coming through.
Right. Yes, there's a flu going round. Yes, just lock yourself in your stateroom, and we'll send someone down. Where are you?
And they give you
Excellent.
And then it buzzes again.
Hello, yes.
I'm gonna get going. I'll see you later. You might be here a while. I'll deal with this little like blood injection thingy, so he can get at least do a blood test while he's responding to all the DMs.
Okay, sure.
But like, I'm just gonna go out and he'll like stop out the weapons locker, pick up probably like, I don't know, a flamethrower or something, and just in case.
Flamethrower. You mean a dazer?
I always have my dazer on me.
Yeah. So what's
I just don't imagine it'll do much good to like a fleshy mass.
probably not.
I mean, if it did, that would be perfect. But you know, I doubt it.
What's Susan doing?
I actually don't know what to do. I'm gonna get tested. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to destroy the bodies.
Okay.
So I'm going to Doctor. I want you to remove all the oxygen from that isolation tube.
Which one?
The one with the gooey old doctor in.
We can't do that.
Why can't we?
Okay. How can I put it simply? We need to study what has become of the good doctor. If you expel it into space, destroy it in any way, we can't study it. If we're infected, we need to have a point of reference.
Okay. Have you got a
case.
sample there on your telescope thingy, majig?
Telescope.
I
mean,
mean,
Tele-
see if samples have been taken. As you can understand, I came into this rather late. Dr. Tally did the stint, and she has disappeared.
Yeah, there's Mandy in the other tube.
Right. Both the samples. Screw science right now. We need to save like the universe.
Screw science?
Science is not the answer to everything.
Oh, do you want to
No.
bow down and pray and hope that things are going to get better? Oh, dear God, I hope that things get better. I think you don't understand the gravity of the situation. Science is the only way that this is going to be solved.
The comm unit is going again.
Oh,
I have something you can do. You're an administrator, yes?
you're a boss. So
I'll give-
right
I'll-
now
I'll
you're
give-
going to take the
I'll give
oxygen
it a
out of that
compliment.
tube.
You start taking notes on these. I've got to get back and I've got to study this.
Turn
thing.
to one of the other doctors and go, right, this he can do all the studying he wants. Remove the oxygen from that tube thing with the goo in.
Okay, this is Nurse Munn. He looks at Dr. Kimura, and then looks back at Susan.
If you follow her instructions, you're killing everybody here.
You're killing everybody here anyway. You've got a sample there. Work with that. Mandy's goo, and by the sounds of it, we're going to have more samples. But that's the
Comm unit goes again.
Oh, for God's sake! What?
No, this is the comm unit in the med bay, medical center.
The controls are there.
What?
I'm going over to Dr. Barber's saying it's time.
It appears we may have a medical emergency on corridor F.
Okay, when you say medical emergency, please explain.
I'm not sure. Who is that?
Your boss. It's Susan Wilkes.
Sorry, Miss Wilkes. I think it's I'm not sure I could explain it.
Just spit it out. God, does anyone just talk frankly in this place?
It's Blair. One of the crew members.
okay.
You would probably know.
Okay. There's your doggy there.
There's something wrong with him.
Well, yes, that would be in a medical emergency. When you say something wrong with him, is he turned into? Is he got scratches? Is he bleeding from the nose?
He's missing the lower half of his body, Miss Wilkes.
All right, another one. Right, everybody put suits on, hazmat suits on. Tell everybody to put hazmat suits on. Move away from the body. go to your quarters. Do station-wide emergency. Everyone go to the quarters. They can all go gooey alone.
These corporate types, they're all hot, you know. Yeah, so
I've had a bad week.
you're going to order a station-wide alert.
We should set up a quarantine signal as well for the station
Yeah.
so people keep away.
Yes. So the comms tech can issue a signal. You'd probably want them to contact the roebuck anyway to tell them to stay away. Absolutely. Okay. And that's probably when panic ensues. So you've made you've issued your order, Susan. Gideon, you're heading down to deal with the security problem that you've been reported to, or has been reported to you. Doctor, you are kind of studying the remains of some of these bodies.
Doing tests.
What's Jensen doing?
Trying to figure out how to get it out of the air vents.
Right. Okay.
Because I think originally they were talking about doing a rolling shut off
Yeah.
and venting them, but that's not gonna work if they're already infected.
Yeah. I mean that's your big problem.
Yeah.
You can freeze parts of the station. You can expose certain parts of the station to vacuum. You can maybe clean out the air vents or something. But if people are already infected,
If we shut the vents, is that it? Does that shut off for the oxygen?
there'll be a limited amount of oxygen that will be available to people. So you could do it for a certain amount of time before people would start to have issues. I mean, you could open one of the airlocks and just expel all of the oxygen out of an area very, very quickly. If you wanted.
No, I was. The main thing was just shutting off the vents. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, no, you could do that. You could do that as a precaution.
Yeah, I think
Spread.
that's where the thought is going, to shutting off the vents, try and stop the spread, but it's trying not to cause more panic.
Yeah, and I think perhaps as you're contemplating this, are you going anywhere? Are you actually planning to do this? You're heading down to the engineering office to kind of the engineering, whatever.
Yeah, I think I would head that way, but I think I would actually mention this to Susan on the way past because she's just issued the stay at home warning. So it'd be basically, look, I'm thinking of just shutting off all the vents. We'll have a time limit of how much oxygen we have. It'll help stop the spread for those that aren't maybe infected, possibly. We just need the samples I've taken tested, the water samples tested. Just something. We need to do something.
Fusion.
Yep, that sounds like a plan. We're going to be doing something, and we're going to get these samples in here destroyed.
But shutting off the vents is going to cause panic. You just told everyone to go home, and now I'm shutting off the vents. Somebody's going to need to be dealing with that because
that's why we have security. They have to be they have to be into their rooms because by the sounds of it, there's going to be more half-bodied and goo people appearing.
Oh my god!
So if we quarantine them, we could send the security staff randomly round to all the rooms and check how many goos we got. But right now, we're just going to have them dropping on the floor and spreading. But if they drop in their rooms and the vents are shut, if they're not contaminated, they won't contaminate more.
But there is only going to be a set amount of oxygen.
Shut the vents off, clear the oxygen ducts. We'll put a flame through them, or we'll ice them, or acid wash them. I don't know. It's science stuff. I'm here to run it and admin it and security it. I'm not here to do the science.
Please don't pump acid through the event.
Okay, I won't do that.
Would there be like an airlock or something at the end of the air shaft? Would that be a thing? Like, if we basically, my thought is, if we shut the vents, could we go down, open the airlock at the bottom, vent it all out?
Clear out the atmosphere. Yeah. I think that's if you want to do that, I think you could figure that out. You're an engineer, goddammit.
Yeah.
Engineers are cool.
Yeah, I think that's the train of thought I'm going down now. With it saying like ice it or whatever, it's like, well, if there's a door at the bottom, crack that. But
Yeah.
we've got to make sure all the vents are shut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be the plan.
Okay. So you're gonna head down. Where would it be logical to do that from? Would it be from the central air shaft?
Yes.
on the ladder specifically.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to go in there, but it's going to be like nobody can accidentally open it because it's attached to the vents, so it's got to be inside the shaft.
Yeah. Okay, let's go with that. That's perfect. Yeah, so that's your plan then, Zach. And as you kind of step out of the med lab and you're making your way down the corridor, you're suddenly aware of a figure standing in front of you. And you know who it is. You've seen him around anyway. And there's this guy. He's got one arm, kind of standing there in front of you, and you recognize him as somebody mentioned that he was like the test subject for the biochips, Corporal Pope. And he's kind of standing there in front of you, and he says, "What's going on? There's a panic. There's something going. They're locking down the station. What's going on?"
Where's your arm? He's never had an arm the whole time he's been here.
That's kind of the point. I mean, he kind of says, "I lost it in an accident."
Oh yeah, that's different.
What?
Where's your arm?
There's stuff and things, and everyone's been told to go back home to the
Yeah, I know.
bed.
What's going on?
Lockdown. But it could just emergency.
Okay. That doesn't answer the question. Are you okay?
No.
Where are you heading? Where are you going? What?
Engineering. It's an emergency. I have to go to my station. Engineering. I fix things.
Sure.
I mean, if did you say he was a corporal, like a
He was in the
security person?
yeah. Well, he's not station personnel. He's the test subject for the biochip.
Okay.
He was the one that Dr. Tally had.
Do you think the goo had at his arm?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I wouldn't know that he's a test subject or anything. It's just
That's a good question. I mean, you may do. I mean, he would have been. He's like the only one-armed person on the station. It's only 800 people. You know what the experiments they're kind of doing here. Maybe you would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he said he's armless.
Yeah.
Oh no, John.
Yeah, I think it would just be like, look, just you don't panic. I mean, if you are here to help, which I'm sure we'll probably need. Susan is in med lab, but don't go in. Um, just you know,
Oh, we're so good at this.
she can tell you what to do. We probably need help.
Sure. Look. Well, I don't want to hold you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, no. Onward. We must carry on. Stay safe. Go home or speak to Susan. Just don't go in med lab.
He's utterly confused by now. But you head off towards the engineering, to engineering. Yeah. Um, he stands there. He watches you go as you run off down the corridor, before making his way towards MedLab. Um, Chief Bahari, you've been making your way through the station, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Corridor, I believe.
yeah, that's right. And when you kind of get there, standing outside is a security guard who looks incredibly pale. He's like, "Thank God you're here, Chief. Thank God you're here. I don't know what's going on. Some fucked up shit going on in there."
Yeah. There seems to be a bit of that going around at the moment. Let's have a
He
look.
looks at you kind of puzzled.
There's been a few
Um,
calls already to medbay. I think something weird's going on.
Okay. And so as you kind of step into the stateroom, there's that strange kind of smell that you smelt when you first walked into Barber's apartment. It's kind of like this kind of musty, earthy, kind of fungy smell that kind of
Yeah.
seems to be permeating. Um, and you can see that the layout is very much the same as kind of Regan's apartment, and there's a person that's kind of sat there. They're obviously watching the TV or something. Only they kind of seem to have, top half of them seems to have sprouted upward and kind of splayed out, almost like it reminds you of what you've heard, of a tree kind of spread out, multiple kind of branches kind of spreading out, all kind of this strange, fleshy pink color, mottled kind of purple. It kind of looks unhealthy, and it stretches up to the ceiling and seems to kind of reach across the ceiling. And you can make a pressure roll if you wouldn't mind.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's definitely not the weirdest form it's taken so far.
Well, I'm probably not doing it justice then in describing it.
That's fine.
Don't roll a one.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Would you add
I did a John Hicks special.
He rolled a
You certainly did.
one.
You rolled a 1. And God bless you, sir. What are you at now? You are at 2. Would you like to
2.
roll
Yep.
pressure level for me, please, mate? You're all right. So, yeah, there's something unwholesome about this whole situation. The way it's the fact that you kind of see this person kind of sit, the lower half of their body, it's kind of their legs are just kind of sat there, still wearing the clothes and everything like that. The
Yeah.
top half just seems to have kind of split off into these different kind of branches almost of this horrible pinkish kind of dead flesh kind of color that seems to be kind of reaching out in many different kind of all these different appendages, and kind of reaching across the ceiling. You can see that it's heading towards air vents again and heading off towards the washroom again in various different ways.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like trying
and
out
it's-
different shapes,
yeah,
forms,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And across the ceiling where you can, where this thing is kind of spread out, you kind of see that there's all these kind of pale white, shiny areas as well. Looks kind of like bone, kind of spread out, almost rib-like across the ceiling, across these things as well. Between some of these kind of branches as they've kind of reached up.
Yeah.
There's like vein that kind of are pumping a kind of purplish kind of liquid, like a viscous liquid through towards the ends of these appendages as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt
On
in
a
your
slightly
mind
more
as to what
interesting scientific note, at least looks like they're learning to differentiate into different tissue, which is interesting.
Yes.
Still horrifying, but like interesting. I kind of wish they had, like, do the events here have like a little like lever thing where you could just sort of like winch them shut?
Like the old hotels.
Yeah,
It's not quite that. It's a bit more sophisticated than that, I think.
but we'll hopefully have something where you can just sort of close the vent.
Well, you know that most of these vents will have been shut under
Yeah,
Wilkes orders anyway.
just
Assuming
making
that,
sure they're closed.
yeah, assuming Jensen can get to engineering and make the necessary adjustments.
Gently, like, pull the bathroom door closed.
Dr. Kimura, are you doing anything in particular? Or are you just kind of examining?
I am trying to do some medical tests to identify how the cell mutation, how the transformation process is transmitted.
Yes. Okay. Now you've had Dr. Talley's notes here to kind of this as well, and it does appear that basically you have one of these leukocytes that will kind of come into contact with a regular living cell, and something happens to that cell. You're not quite sure, and Dr. Talley wasn't quite sure, but it's almost like the cell gets reprogrammed or it's rewritten in some way. And then when mitosis happens, which is kind of like the cell division, where the cell splits in half and creates a duplicate of itself.
So is there a way that it has to be is it airborne? Is it particles? How's it transmitted? Is more what he's looking at.
Well, okay. In that case, can you make a education roll and add your medical thing to it, if you wouldn't mind?
7.
Okay. Yeah. Far as you can tell, this isn't like a virus. Not got like one kind of vector where it spreads. This seems to have finding any way that it can. This is part of its sentience, if you like. It is adapt. There are different ways. You kind of looking at the evidence that you've seen so far. The hand onto the vent, Barber's hand turned into a cobweb thing. It was being blown through the air vents, becoming airborne. It also connected to the water supply, so it could be transmitted through water. It just seems whatever this thing is figuring out different ways.
It adapts and to how it can get into people, right? Okay.
But it's always hedging its bets. It's never just one particular transmission vector. It seems to be finding as many different ones as it can in an effort to kind of defeat anything that you're trying to put in its way to kind of stop it.
Okay, so the bits of the former Dr. Barber that are trying to get out.
Yeah.
I want to check the integrity of the tube to see if they're doing anything to transform the tube into something they can get through.
Oh, interesting.
They are now.
Yeah, you can make a roll, add your science, so it's a +1. Right, science is not your primary, it's your second. So make education.
10.
Yes, very good. Doesn't appear to be affecting the integrity of the tube at all. Now, at this moment in time, you can probably assume, because it's non-organic, that they are not able to do anything physically to that tube.
Okay, cool.
Right now. So yeah, they are contained, but the fact that they are attempting to probe to find a way out has led you to the conclusion that these things they're smart. They are Yeah.
I'll call over the corporate administrator, Doctor. No, Miss Troublesome,
Wilkes.
Troublemaker.
Oh,
That's
Wilkes
the one,
Wilkes.
Wilkes. Yes.
Yeah.
To save your life.
Wilkes, come here.
Yes.
Look. You see? They're not able to adapt to the tube. So we've learned something. The tube has not been affected. They're trying to probe. Can you see them moving?
And I guess if you watch it long enough, Susan, you kind of see that this little bit of tissue, these little bits of tissue that are broken off from the main mass, seem to be kind of making their way around the edge of the cylinder very, very slowly. You have to watch it quite some time to really notice the movement. But
Right. This is something that we made that we shouldn't have made. So I don't care. You've got the research on his information, on the stick that we gave you. We need to destroy this before it destroys the whole space station research thing.
You don't understand. This thing adapts. It transmits through the air, through water. Over time, it will adapt. The only way that you're going to
destroy
it is just... How are you going to destroy it? If you destroy this, what will that do? Will that solve the problem? How many more bodies have you got around?
We collect them all in and we destroy it. So what's your solution then? You're having a scientific fantasy moment here and you think it's amazing. But how is that going to save the 797 people?
You do realise that this organism, this thing, this creature is probably more intelligent than a lot of the people on this station.
And your point is? That's worth more than their lives.
Oh, that's a philosophical question.
Philosophical question there, Miss Wilkes. You see, some would say that this potentially is what is meant to happen.
Oh my God! Right, shush now. You're just doing me head in. I don't care about the science. We made it. We shouldn't have made it. It needs destroying. So I don't care what you can learn from it. The only thing you need to learn right now and very quickly is how we destroy it.
You want the sure way. The only sure way.
We need to destroy it.
Without killing anyone else? Or what are you going to do with the infected people?
We're going to destroy those.
Ooh.
So, are you going to walk out that airlock then?
If I have to, yes. And I'll take and all the infected people. If it comes to it and the whole station is infected, then we blow the station.
That is your answer. As they say, the only solution. But you will not save the people. You're killing them. But you will save, potentially, humanity.
Well, then that's the job we have to do then.
But as the saying goes, life will find a way. You don't know if this organism can survive in the vacuum of space. How do you know? How do I know you don't know? Because you haven't studied it.
Well, then it's probably already out there then. Or it's not.
We don't know. That is why we need to study more.
How long are you going to study it for? Before we all go to goo. You're not achieving anything, so we blow the station.
You don't understand. This is science. However long it takes before, if we are all infected, which more than likely we are, we go to goo, as you say. We can provide research data, which we can send back to others. You may not be able to save everyone here, but we might be able to save humanity by studying this, getting the data we need. You just want to blow everyone up. You want to kill everyone. When it was
no, I want to kill the organism.
It was your kind that organizes these things, research projects, black book operations. more
I
than
get
likely,
paid
a
to
good-
run a station.
You haven't done a very good job because no one is safe here.
Good
It's
job you
time
don't
for
make the
you.
decisions, isn't
It's
it?
time for you to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We need to research this so we can save others. We are effectively doomed.
You have an hour while I work out how to blow this station.
Well, that escalated quickly.
You think people are going to let you just blow the station up?
No, they're not gonna.
I have work to do. I have research to do. I have
You
to
have an
do it
hour.
before insanity of people. Barber, you're a genius, and these are fools. Fools, I say.
Yeah.
I'm getting on the computer and trying to do as much research.
Oh, I'm about ready to blow his head off in a minute, but never mind.
No, that's absolutely perfect. Jensen, you are down in engineering. You can see now that there's a station-wide alert has been issued, and everyone's been told to head to their quarters. So is there anybody left in engineering, I wonder? The order that you've issued, Susan, are you telling people to basically abandon their posts and head to their quarters or something?
Well, you think that any orders that I gave have any thought behind it? This is the problem we're having here.
Well, what makes sense to you? What do
Well,
you think?
what makes sense to me very rarely makes sense to many others. So, I mean, my logic was just get them all into the rooms because they're all. Otherwise, they're just going to start dropping on the floor, and there's going to be bodies on the corridors and in the workplace, and so I wanted them all in their rooms, apart from security and the science pods that's supposed to be doing what they're told.
So you're alone then, Zach. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yes.
You're down in engineering by yourself. There's probably a recorded message that's kind of going through now, telling people that they have to stay in their quarters. They're not to leave until given further notice. And this kind of is echoing through these empty corridors as you're making your way down to engineering. And it's kind of as you're kind of going through these corridors, you're kind of starting to notice perhaps certain disturbing signs of the state of the infection. With kind of notice kind of these kind of slight patches on walls periodically, kind of like a pinkish fleshy kind of, not quite skin, but kind of like an unhealthy pallid kind of thing, kind of like on a wall, maybe almost hand shaped at one point, kind of sat on this wall.
That's just so gross.
As if somebody kind of put their hand up on the wall and then taken it away and left part of their hand behind, and it had kind of putrefied in some way as it had, like it had done. And as you're kind of making your way down through the station, you see kind of more signs of weird things like that. I'd like to make a pressure roll as you're kind of observing what
It's
you know
weird.
used to be bits of person.
Ooh.
Add 1 to your pressure level if you wouldn't mind, and then click pressure. Oh.
I'm still alright for pressure.
You're kind of trying not to think about it.
Yeah.
As you kind of make your way down through these different cars until you arrive at engineering.
I think I would get on the comms to Susan and just say, look, there's weird stuff all over the corridors. Maybe you need the doc to, I don't know, scrape it off or something. I don't know. I don't deal with the fleshy bit.
Yeah. So this is kind of a message that Susan gets through. I guess it's a little bit
Weird.
garbled and yeah, and not really making sense because clearly Engineer Jensen is under a lot of stress.
Running around the station on his Todd.
Yeah. So in regards to that as well, you've also got Gideon, who's also making his way through the station. He's kind of seen that this strange effect that has occurred to one of the crew members. The security officer that's with you is standing outside. He's probably puked at least once as well,
It's
as
like,
he's
you
kind
didn't
of.
touch it, did you?
You're muted.
It's like,
Sorry.
yeah, it's like you didn't touch it, did you?
Are you fucking kidding?
Oh, you know what the faces I would do is corpo guys. They do plenty of stupid shit every day.
What do we do? What do we do?
I don't know. We got something.
I thought it was
some of the
about
guys in the
film.
med. Yeah, we got some of the guys in the med lab working on something. I think the guy in there's a bit of a crackpot.
There's more of this?
Yeah, it seems to have a bit of an outbreak. We're trying to lock everything down, keep everyone in their rooms, and make sure that like nothing spreads by the vents or the water system or whatever. We're not entirely sure what we can do with this because it seems to be everywhere. Because we had like some other call over on like corridor G.
Yeah, I mean you've probably been getting.
Yeah, there's been
calls
like there's been a handful of them already on my thing.
kind of
Yeah.
started coming through, and there's probably more than you can deal with personally at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think if there are people in the room, we're just gonna have to start locking people in there, and then making sure their vents are closed and they have no access to the water system.
I think what you're probably realizing by now is that the conversion process seems to be speeding up. It took several hours, as far as you're aware, for the conversion to happen to Barber. It's speeding up, and it's the only thing you can really maybe assume from that is that these things have figured you out. They've figured out humans as a species. They've figured out how they work.
Yeah.
And that they're now able to manipulate things much faster than before. And I'd like you to make a pressure roll on that revelation.
Oh dear, I'm not paid enough for this.
Add one. Yep.
Time for an episode.
Here we go. Okay, so let's see. What are you on? 3?
Yeah.
Okay. In shock.
Shock.
So you drag that across onto your sheet if you can.
Which shock strength?
The bit where it says in shock strength.
The white box.
Yeah, if you can drag that onto. Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't hear which buttons of the in shock.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah. So if you click the little star there, that should knock your strength down 1.
Ooh.
Yes.
So yeah, so you're suddenly feeling the weight of all of this is starting to kind of tell the stress and the pressure that's being put on you at the moment with all these calls that are coming in, and you are feeling really, really tired all of a sudden. It kind of hits you.
Can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like having a deadline that is almost impossible to meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's as you kind of leave that stateroom and you seal the door, you are starting to feel the effects, and you're suddenly aware, despite everything that you have seen as a combat medic or whatever it was when you were in the forces, this is pretty terrifying. You can't see a way out of this for anybody at the
No, I
moment.
can.
Yeah.
It's like
it
it's
seems-
it's gonna be the orderly guy. Just be like, fuck it. I don't know. We just have to lock people in. Like we just have to lock these things in their rooms
Yeah.
if they're in a room or wherever. Like I don't know what else we can do with this apart from like
Yeah.
I don't know. See if it slows it down at all.
Yeah.
Fucking
Exactly.
combos.
Where is Susan right now?
I am putting on a hazmat suit and a mask and gloves
Yeah.
and boots.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go and find Boss Man to get the blueprints on how to blow the machine, the station.
Okay. So you're gonna make your way to McNary's office. Is where you figure he's probably gone. And as you kind of exit MedLab, you see this guy kind of he's making his way up the corridor towards you. And he kind of says, "Miss Wilkes,
Yes?
I'm Corporal Pope, engineer. The engineer. He said that you maybe if I could help in some way, I should speak to you."
Yes, the station has been, unfortunately, had a small contamination which we're trying to deal with.
All contamination?
Yeah.
Can I help? What is there something I can do? Where are you going?
I'm going to try and get the blueprints of the station. I need you to go and get armoured up and come with me.
He kind of just takes a step back just a moment and then he says, "Yes, ma'am." Yeah, I mean, he has no idea where he's going to get armor or anything from. But he, you know, he's a member of the armed forces.
Meet me on corridor 1D,
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Okay. Sure. You make your way up towards McNary's office. By the time you reach there, you can see that the corridors are pretty much empty. It's fairly quiet. You've kind of noticed these kind of strange organic patches that have started appearing on the walls periodically as you're making your way through the corridor. And you don't really want to think about what they are, but now that I said that, of course, you do.
Bro, I did tell Pope to get a hazmat suited up as well.
Yeah.
If he comes back with an extra arm, then I might worry.
So you're kind of standing outside McNary's office, and Pope kind of rocks up. He's only got what he could find. So basically, he's carrying a metal bar in his right arm, in his right hand. And he says, "Okay, so what's the deal?"
One of the doctors did a very bad experiment. Corporation want us to keep it quiet. We don't know how far it's spread, but it's killing people.
But you said this was a little.
Yeah, I lied a bit, just to, you know.
Okay.
Everybody's in their rooms, so hopefully we can contain it to the rooms. We've shut the air vents off to stop it spreading through the air vents, but it might be too late. So we've got the med labs are trying to discover either solution to contain it, kill it. They want to study it at the moment. Right now, if we don't do something, the human race could be fucked. Ha! Troy.
Okay, he kind of stands there pondering for a second. He's kind of holding this metal bar in his hand. Well, let's get to it.
Okay, my plan is to make sure we can find a way that if we have to blow the station.
Sure. Okay.
But I have a feeling that the boss man is going to fight us on that. And even one of the doctors might fight us on it because they're only interested in science and experimenting and all that science jargon.
Right. Right. So we're gonna get the plans from McNary. Is that the?
Yeah, and we're going to try and work out a way that if we need to, the last resort, to blow the station.
Well, let's stop talking and let's get on with it.
Good boy. And I go to McNary, his office.
Okay. So the door slides open, and he's kind of sitting there on his office chair. It's very dark in there at the moment.
Oh.
There's a half-full glass of scotch in front of him on the desk. See him kind of reach down, grab a hold of it, and knock it back.
Just bend down and look at the floor.
Yeah, there's a floor there.
No, I want to check if he's still got legs.
Yes, he still has.
Okay. Switch
How
light
many
on.
legs?
Oh, she didn't ask that.
I switched the legs on.
You turn on the light, and yeah, there's a very haggard-looking McNary, looking thoroughly defeated, as he's sat in his chair, and he kind of looks up. Susan.
So you're doing something useful?
What do you want from me, Susan?
I need the plans for the ship. It's the station research thing. What do we call it?
Space station.
Space station. Is it a space station?
It's a space station, yeah.
I thought space station was a military thing. We're just like a research station.
Yeah, it's a space station, but it does research
Okay, in space.
in space. Hence, it's a space station.
Okay.
I'm glad we got that. I'm glad we got that straightened out.
That's good then.
Right. Tell me.
Right. The science guy is being a knob.
That's a very professional language you're using there, Susan.
I think we've gone past that right now, don't you? And don't talk to me in method, silly words. At the end of the day, there's a thing in the air. It's killing people. We're down to 996, I think now, or 896.
Still an improvement.
It's 5, 4. What were we down about 10 people? I think.
Yeah.
So they want to research it, and I understand what they're saying, that we have to learn from it in order to kill it or combat it. I get that. I don't think we have time. So we're either going to have a very big gooey mess over the whole of the station, or we take it into our own hands and we blow the station.
You want to destroy the whole station?
Yeah. What solution have you come up with while you're sitting here in the dark feeling sorry for yourself with an open bottle of whiskey in front of you?
Damn it, Susan, don't you take that tone with me.
Oh, God. Seriously. Stop being a knob.
And he stands up. He sways slightly. You can see that perhaps he's had a little too much of that scotch. You do not speak to me like that. I'm your superior officer, remember?
What are you going to do about it? Because it's basically a race of time of which one of us is going to turn to goo first.
Dare you? I was doing it. It was for the good of the company.
Oh, God, shut up now. Where's the blueprints?
He kind of looks across at the computer terminal. In his
Sit
room.
down, drink your drink. Feel sorry for yourself. Or get off your arse and do something to save the people in the station.
There's a slight metallic clang from behind you.
Turn around, look at him.
Okay, you can see Corporal Pope is kind of standing behind you. and he's kind of looking down at his feet.
I look at his feet.
Yeah, there's like a small metallic ring. It's about 3 inches in diameter, kind of sat on the floor there. And he kind of looks up at you, and his kind of mouth's open. He's like, maybe it worked itself loose.
What, his mouth?
Um,
I look up.
no,
I look down.
no. You notice his arm, the arm that he is
Oh.
missing,
Flipping heck.
and you recall now that there was an attachment for the prosthesis that was
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So that fell off. Has he got
That
an
is
extra
now
arm?
laying on the floor,
Has he got...
and there is kind of like his shoulder is now seems to kind of be pulsing slightly, and kind of moving. There's kind of like this movement in the whole kind of that area where the scar tissue was, and it seems to kind of be. It starts to bulge out slowly. What do you do? Take a pressure roll if you wouldn't mind.
Pressure. Oh, I failed.
You did.
Didn't roll a 1 though.
You can tick one of your pressure level boxes.
That's the first one I've ticked.
It is. Okay.
I just turn to Pope and say, yeah, it might be a bit late for you. So anything you do now.
I think maybe you might be losing your shit a little bit more than that.
What do you want me to do then?
We're all doomed and we're gonna die.
I just say to him, oh, flipping heck.
Flipping heck. That's always a.
That's not good. Right. Anything you do now is mankind, because that's not good. Your arm's doing some. You're growing an arm, mate. And I just turn around to the McNary. Get the bloody blueprints. Come up with a plan now. We need to know how to blow this station. Look at his arm. He's now got his pulsating shoulder. He's grown another arm. And I get the whiskey and give it to the Pope guy. I think you might need that. Because he's going to have to do a pressure roll. I think you should do a pressure roll for Pope. I think he
you
might
should
be
do
going...
pressure rolls for all 892 people on the station.
Yeah.
It is midnight now. We can leave this for another session.
It's midnight. For God's sake! Me and the dog going to go. We've still got a long way to go.
So, what do you think? Are we going to have to carry this on in another session?
Yeah. I think we're going to, yes.
I think so. It is kind of midnight. So I think, we will call it there. We'll leave it on that moment as
Stop writing notes again.
Yeah, we're all going to be fighting over who gets to shoot the doctor.
As Corporal Pope is obviously not well.
No.
And Susan is apparently losing her shit.
Yeah.
And Engineer Jensen is apparently losing his shit.
Yeah.
I wasn't paid enough to have any shit in the first place.
You weren't paid enough to have any shit, so you're okay. You're okay. You're strangely okay with all this. And the doctor, well.
He's loving it. He's loving life.
Well, yeah.
I would love it if he's the one person who doesn't get any contact with the alien. He's like not infected. It can't infect him. He's completely
He's immune.
Yeah, I feel like torment of Tantalus.
Okay, so yeah, all right. We'll finish this here. We will rejoin this at another time, at a later date. God knows when.
Yeah, the next date, I think I said, what did I say earlier? The next Free Friday is October the 1st. Yeah. So we might have to, maybe if we can work it out, we might be able to get an early Sunday evening one or something in. We might be able to do that. So we might be able to get that in sooner then. So we'll have a word and see what we can sort out.
Okay.
Because October's a long time to wait. But if we wait till October, Pope's arm's going to be like a tree trunk.
It's going to be like a big red hand.
Oh my God, it is. It's going to be big red and
veiny,
like Hellboy.
Surprisingly firm.
Yes.
Okay, I will work that out. But thank you for everybody for tuning in this evening to watch us all go slowly insane and argue with the Doctor.
Which is all I ever wanted.
Yeah. And Strain, thank you for stepping in, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
you were awesome tonight. It was
most welcome.
Yeah, excellent.
I am really sorry, Tony, for sending you into the big black tube.